Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Poison is infinitely stacked, shocking the school beauty. Chapter 41. Resurrection. Lee Zunil was very surprised. Unexpectedly, he actually got a resurrection skill book. Although it can only be used once within 24 hours, it is still perverted enough. You know, this is resurrection. Even the profession of nanny has few candidates, let alone a nanny with resurrection skills. Lee Zunil learned the skill without hesitation. He was overjoyed. This means that he can control a person's life and death. As a nanny, I am afraid that everyone has to give me 3 points of courtesy. After all, everyone will definitely hope that if they die accidentally, they can be resurrected. Unconsciously, the corners of his mouth rose slightly. He looked at the information of the second skill book again. Skill name: Nanming Lihuo. Professional requirement: Mage. Level requirement: Unlimited. Skill function: this skill can summon a ball of Nanming Lihuo with a diameter of 10 meters. Nanming Lihuo is extremely strong and positive, and it is a first-class flame in the prehistoric times. It can cause huge damage to the target. The higher the intelligence, the greater the damage. The skill CD is 10 seconds, and the casting range is 100 meters * 100 meters. Skill level: 7 stars. Nanming Lihuo, a mage skill, 7 stars. Lee Zunil looked at this skill book and couldn't help but glance at Xia Bingshe. He could ask her how much it was worth. So he spoke decisively. How much is a 7-star mage skill book worth? What skill book? Nanming Lihuo, it should be a fire attribute. Are you sure it's 7 stars? Xia Bingshe suddenly stopped, opened her eyes wide, and stared at Lee Zunil in disbelief. What is the concept of a 7-star skill book? It's out of reach. Her family has been doing business for so long, and she has only seen 6-star skill books, and has never seen 7-star. Lee Zunli's words shocked her. As soon as Xia Bingshe stopped, Lee Zunil, Tan Huan and others had to stop. Yes, Nanming Lihuo, mage skill, 7 stars. Lee Zunil was very sure. Tan Huan and Zhao Hao on the side were so surprised that they couldn't close their mouths. They hadn't seen a 7-star skill book either, not even a 6-star one. Tan Huan's tone was very surprised. Lee Zunil, is it really a 7-star skill book? Lee Zunil nodded, very sure. Brother, can you take it out for me to see? Zhao Hao danced with joy. Of course, no problem. Everyone looked at the skill book with 7-star light spinning in Lee Zunli's hand, staring at it carefully with wide eyes. It is indeed a 7-star skill book. Xia Bingshe looked up slightly as if she was dreaming. Lee Zunil, can you sell this skill book to me? As long as the price is right, it doesn't matter who you sell it to. I can't use the mage skills. How much are you going to sell it for? Xia Bingshe stared at the skill book in Lee Zunli's hand with burning eyes. According to the market price. Xia Bingshe pondered for a moment, a little embarrassed. To be honest, there is no market price for the 7-star skill book. Ah, just say whatever price you want. About, not much. Xia Bingshe looked at Lee Zunil with a clever look, feeling as if he was going to take advantage of her. Then 5 million. Lee Zunil thought for a while and quoted the price. He asked tentatively, feeling that 5 million was not a small amount. I'll add another 5 million, and it will be 10 million. You shouldn't suffer a loss. If it's not enough, I'll give you more money later. Xia Bingshe pondered for a moment. As a rich second generation, she is not short of money at all. 10 million is not too expensive for her. She immediately took the skill book from Lee Zunli's hand, and disappeared from her hand the next second. She used the skill book directly. It seems that I underestimated the value. Lee Zunil looked at Xia Bingshe's excited expression and muttered to himself. Zhao Hao on the side was completely confused. He didn't know the price of such high-end goods. Tan Huan also didn't know the price. In their opinion, this kind of thing is ridiculously expensive anyway. Tan Huan thought that she was willing to pay 10 million, but unfortunately, this was not a 7-star assassin skill book. Xia Bingshe took out the staff and waved it lightly. 50 meters away, a fireball with a diameter of 10 meters slowly appeared, emitting intense heat like the scorching sun. The plants near the fireball were instantly dehydrated and dried up. Lee Zunil and others felt the high temperature transmitted by the fireball, which made them feel a little uncomfortable. This is too perverted. Xia Bingshe, You won't use this to deal with me in the future, right? Li Zunul couldn't help but speak. Although he wouldn't die, if he was hit by this flame, he would definitely be worse than death. However, considering I know that I am very fast, so I shouldn't be hit by the skill easily. After all, although this fireball is powerful, its speed is not particularly fast, so there is still a chance to dodge it. My god level poison milk is poisonous, has a speed close to the speed of light, so I really can't dodge it. Of course not, Sha Bingshe said seriously. After saying that, she gently waved the staff in her hand, and the fireball like the scorching sun quickly moved in the direction her staff pointed. Finally, boom, the fireball fell directly into the river valley not far away. The water in the river boiled instantly, as if it was boiled. Moreover, countless fish and shrimps emerged from the river, and they all seemed to be cooked. Sha Bingshe couldn't hide the smile on her face at all. Obviously, she was very, very satisfied with the damage ability of this skill. Quote. Li Zunul didn't expect that this Nanming Lihuo was so terrifying. However, compared with his poison milk is poisonous, it is still far behind. This skill is so abnormal. How abnormal should the 2 7-star equipment be? He took the opportunity to check the 2 7-star equipment again. Phoenix Wing Cloak, 7 stars. Level requirement, 70. Intelligence, 200. Physical strength, 360. Charm, 30. Strength, 30. Skill, soaring in the sky, active skill. Using this skill, you can fly continuously for 30 minutes, CD time is 30 minutes. Note, this is made of phoenix wings, with extremely high speed, it can increase your speed dramatically, and even fly for a short time. Phoenix Feather Staff, 7 stars. Level requirement, 70. Intelligence, 380. Physical strength, 180. Charm, 30. Strength, 30. Skill, Phoenix Power, passive skill, it can improve all your attributes by 10%. Note, this staff is made of phoenix feathers, with powerful magic, it can greatly enhance your magic effect. Li Zunul was overjoyed when he saw these 2 pieces of equipment. These 2 pieces of equipment actually have skills attached to them, one can fly, and the other can greatly increase all attributes. How much would it cost if it was sold? But he certainly wouldn't sell it, at least not the cloak. Equipment that can fly, what a joke. Hurry up, we've been delayed for a while. Sha Bingshe hurriedly urged. Li Zunul didn't have time to look at the remaining 2 6-star equipment, so he followed the 3 people. Fengchu College. Yang Yu saw that Guan Shanyu had already set off with the participating students, so he had no choice but to call him. Yang Yu, what's the matter? Guan Shanyu's low voice came from the phone. Dean Guan, Li Zunul, Sha Bingshe and the other 4 are on their way back. What, on their way back? Yes, then we'll go first, and you arrange for the 4 of them to come as soon as possible. If they can make it, they can enter the competition dungeon. Okay, Dean Guan. Originally, Zhao Hao was not eligible to participate, but his level was forcibly raised to the top 50. And this is all thanks to Li Zunul. In his words, I can't let my brothers fall behind. Li Zunul and his 4 companions were still rushing to the teleportation array in the Grey Mist Forest. Clearing the entire 100-layer magic tower brought them great rewards. Li Zunul reached level 45. Zhao Hao was level 43, Sha Bingshe was level 40, and Tan Huan was level 40. Their character backpacks were even more full. 305 1-star items, 256 2-star items, 148 3-star items, 88 4-star items, 25 5-star items, 5 6-star items, and 2 7-star items. There were also more than 100 gems of various types, including attribute gems, star-up gems, and equipment upgrade gems. Sha Bingshe and Tan Huan were very surprised. I didn't expect that by teaming up with Li Zunul, my level would actually increase from level 18 to level 40. A full 22 levels increase. You know, it is very difficult to increase the level after level 30. If they hadn't happened to encounter the secret realm of the 100-layer magic tower, they would probably be at most level 30 now. What's even more surprising is, Sha Bingshe didn't expect that she could actually get a 7-star skill. This gave her a little more confidence in the 3 major colleges' competition. Of course, she also knew that she couldn't win the championship, because she knew Li Zunli's strength very well. She couldn't beat him at all. She still had this self-knowledge. Wolong City Arena. Today's arena was very lively and crowded. The audience was enthusiastic, cheering and shouting one after another, and the atmosphere was warm. In addition to ordinary people, there are also people from major adventure guilds, people from the Sha Kingdom Law Enforcement Team, people from the Super God Academy, people from the Super Spirit Academy, and people from the Super Extraordinary Academy. Although there are not many of them, they are heavy enough. The annual 3 major college competition is about to be held here. This competition will last for about a week. The 3 major colleges are Tenglong College, Fengchu College, and Black and White College. In addition to Wolong City, such competitions are also held simultaneously in more than 100 cities in Sha Country. Guan Shanyu was directing the 40 or 50 students from Fengchu College to line up properly. He looked down at the time, 9:55. The competition would start at 10 o'clock, and there were only 5 minutes left before they would enter the competitive dungeon. But he hadn't seen Li Zunal, Sha Bingshe and others yet. He was anxious. Time passed by minute. He looked forward to it, but it still didn't come. Finally, in the most honorable position in the arena, a spirited middle-aged man, holding a microphone. Okay, time's up. According to the ranking of last year's competition, Tenglong College is first, followed by Black and White College, and then Fengchu College. The person who spoke was the mayor of Wolong City, Zhu Tianming, a level 88 swordsman. As soon as the voice fell, Zhou Shanhai, the dean of Tenglong College, proudly led the 50 students of Tenglong College to the entrance of the competitive dungeon and directed them to enter in an orderly manner. Soon, Mei Xingchen, the dean of the Black and White Academy, led 50 students of the Black and White Academy to the entrance of the competitive dungeon and directed the students to enter in an orderly manner. Finally, it was the turn of Fengchu Academy. Guan Shanyu frowned. Why haven't these 4 people come yet? Mayor Zhu Tianming took the microphone and reminded. Guan Shanyu, it's your turn at Fengchu Academy. Mayor Zhu, we are still short of 4 students. 4 short is 4 short, we can't wait for you. Although Guan Shanyu was helpless, he understood very well. He led Li Chen and others to the entrance of the competitive dungeon slowly. Lin Yu said softly, Dean Guan, don't worry, the championship must be ours. Whether Li Zunal and the other 4 come or not, it will not affect our victory. That's right, don't we still have Li Chen and Lin Yu? And there is also a perverted Tang Shaoxin. Wang Tang on the side couldn't help but speak. Last time, Wang Tang was frightened by Tang Shaoxin's strength. Originally, he planned to settle the score later and make trouble for Tang Shaoxin. But Guan Shanyu found Wang Tang at that time. Tang Shaoxin was backed by the Sha Kingdom Law Enforcement Team, and he should not be provoked easily. In just one sentence, Wang Tang's temper was subdued. The Law Enforcement Team represents majesty and strength. No one is willing to provoke them, even if they are rich. In this world, strength is the first and money is the second. Guan Shanyu nodded with all his strength. He was very pleased to see the students enter the competitive dungeon one by one. Fortunately, there are Li Chen and Lin Yu, as well as the unexpected Tang Shaoxin. All the students have entered. 3 minutes later, the dungeon entrance will be closed. At this time, Zhou Shanhai of Tenglong College smiled and approached Guan Shanyu. Old Guan, what are you worried about? Anyway, you can't win the championship. Mei Xingchen on the side also muttered. Yes, you have been the last for several years in a row. Aren't you used to it? 4 more students or else that's it. Guan Shanyu was embarrassed. This time, it's not necessarily the case. Guan Shanyu argued with a red face. This time, I think it's about the same. Mei Xingchen said carelessly. Our Black and White Academy has a Shadow Saint Thorn this time, which is so powerful. The championship must be ours. Hey, old Mei, you don't know that our Tenglong Academy has a Sword Saint this time. The championship must be ours. Mei Xingchen was not to be outdone. You only have a Sword Saint, who doesn't have much deterrence at all. This is a survival copy, and the Shadow Saint Thorn has the strongest survivability. Then you are wrong. In addition to the Sword Saint, our Tenglong Academy also has a Holy Poison Mage. Holy Poison Mage, hidden profession. Mei Xingchen was very surprised. Of course, Zhou Shanhai was very proud. Mei Xingchen's face was slightly moved when he heard this. The Holy Poison Mage is the ceiling of the Poison Mage, a hidden profession that has rarely appeared in history. Guan Shanyu was also very surprised. He didn't expect that there would be such a person who changed his profession in Tenglong Academy. Mei Xingqian's unexpected gaze stayed on Zhou Shanhai's face for 2 seconds, and then looked at Guan Shanyu. But no matter what, Fengshu Academy, I'm afraid it doesn't qualify for the championship, right? Zhou Shanhai joked on the side. I heard that they have a sword master profession, a powerful summoner, and a first poison nurse. It's fancy. Poison nurse, how about compared to the Holy Poison Mage? Mei Xingqian asked curiously. It's definitely not comparable. Zhou Shanhai laughed. Humph. Quote. Guan Shanyu snorted coldly, walked back to his team in a huff, sat in his seat, and sulked. It's not that he didn't want to argue, but he was worried that he would be slapped in the face even more severely after the argument. At this time, suddenly a female voice sounded. Dean Guan, the 4 of them are here. Guan Shanyu stood up immediately after hearing it, and looked at the source of the sound. It was Yang Yu. Sure enough, beside her, Li Zunil, Sha Bingshe, Tan Huan, and Zhao Hao were rushing over in a hurry. He looked at the time, and the stipulated time had just arrived. But he wanted to fight for it. Quick, 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 quote. Guan Shanyu strode forward and waved at them. Li Zunil and the other 4 immediately ran to Guan Shanyu's side. Their speed was so fast that it was amazing. The equipment on the 4 people was shining with brilliant light, which made Guan Shanyu's eyes light up. At first glance, the equipment of these 4 people was very luxurious, and they must have gained a lot. This made Guan Shanyu feel more confident. He led the 4 people to trot towards the entrance of the competition copy. Mayor Zhuge Tianming immediately asked. Hey, Guan Shanyu, what are you doing? Mayor Zhuge, our 4 students have arrived, and the time has just come. I want to take them in. It's late, and we need to get the consent of other deans. Zhuge Tianming looked at Zhou Shanhai and Mei Xingqian. The 2 said casually, let the 4 of them go in. Yes, after all, it's been several years since the countdown, and more people means more hope. Quote. Quote, comma, quote. Guan Shanyu's face turned red again, and his back seemed to be delayed. Okay, go in. Zhuge Tianming nodded. Go in. Guan Shanyu waved his hand and said impatiently. Li Zunil was the last one to enter. Before entering, he looked back at Guan Shanyu who was wasting his time. Sorry for being late, the champion must be me. As soon as he finished speaking, he stepped into the dungeon. Heroic and valiant. Guan Shanyu was very pleased to hear the last words Li Zunil said. I hope so. Every year he holds great hopes, but every year there are accidents. I just heard that there is a holy poison mage in Tenglong College. This makes the situation more complicated. At this time, Zhuge Tianming took the microphone. Okay, time is up, the dungeon entrance is closed, everyone watch the game carefully. After speaking, his eyes were on the huge projection screen in the hall of the arena. It shows the details of the game dungeon. This competitive dungeon can view the situation in the dungeon in real time. According to previous records, this game can be fast or slow. If it is fast, it may end in 1 or 2 days, and if it is slow, it may take a week. After the world turned around, Li Zunil suddenly opened his eyes and found himself on the bank of a wide river. There was no one around him. Apart from the sound of the river flowing, there were only the chirping of insects and birds in the distance. At a glance, there were mountains, rivers, forests, monsters and ferocious beasts on this land. He could also see a few translucent numbers in the sky. 150 150ths. Obviously, that was the number of challengers. Suddenly, he received a message on his character panel. Welcome to the 150th challenger to enter the survival of the fittest copy. Congratulations, you have randomly obtained the last Dragon Ball. Please go to the 7 Dragon Ball Tower in the east, collect the 7 Dragon Balls and activate it, and guard the Dragon Ball until the end. Then, he saw a golden Dragon Ball in his hand. And it was flashing with dazzling golden light. He put the Dragon Ball into the character backpack, but the golden light was still flashing on his body. Obviously, it can be seen at a glance that he has a Dragon Ball. However, it doesn't matter at all. Since he became invincible, he has nothing to fear. He suddenly remembered that if he didn't go, it meant that no one could collect all 7 Dragon Balls. And no one could activate them. He chuckled, put his hands in his pockets, and walked slowly to the east. He strolled leisurely while looking at the scenery. It seems that everyone enters the dungeon at a random location. Whether it is an enemy or a monster, a battle is generally inevitable. At this time, outside the dungeon, many people looked at the projection screen inside with great interest. In the projection screen, the camera was switching from time to time. If there was a battle, there were close-up shots. Some people had encountered monsters, some encountered other challengers, and some ran fast. Li Zunli's slow pace was out of tune with these pictures. Inevitably, some people started to discuss. Why is this guy so leisurely? Yes, there is a golden light on his body, he should have a Dragon Ball, and he dares to be so carefree, he is too careless. I don't understand, I really don't understand, he looks like he is on vacation. Just wait and see, I guess he will be defeated sooner or later. In the copy, Li Zunil took out a 5-star staff. This staff was exploded in the 100-story magic tower, and its attributes in all aspects are very good. He planned to take it and use it for a while. According to Xia Bingshe, this staff can also be worth tens of thousands. But he has no shortage of equipment now. All he needs is to sell it to make money. When this copy is over, he will go to Xia Bingshui's family and sell this batch of equipment. In this way, he can gain financial freedom. Just as he was fantasizing. Suddenly, a quarrel came from the front. Hey, isn't this the scumbag from Fengshu College? He keeps counting down every year. If it were me, I would be embarrassed to come in again. You don't think your Tenglong College is awesome. You'll have a hard time this year. Tisk, get out of here, you scumbag. I'm going to fight you. As soon as the words fell, the sound of fighting began to be heard. Li Zunil couldn't help hearing someone scolding his college. You can only scold your own alma mater yourself, not others. He ran forward quickly. He pushed aside the dogtail grass taller than a person and saw a student from his college facing 2 students from Tenglong College alone. How could this be? It's okay for 2 people to bully 1 person, but they are still scolding each other. Uncle can tolerate it, but aunt can't. Although Li Zunil has no great righteousness, he despises this kind of bullying behavior. He immediately rushed in and yelled, "You useless people from Tenglong College, come and die." His voice was loud and confident. This made the 3 people in the fight stunned for a moment. The most surprised was the student from Fengshu College. The number 1 toxic person. Li Zunil. He was obviously very surprised, never expected that the boss of his own academy would be so coincidental to be encountered by himself. 2 students of Tenglong Academy looked very funny. What? The first poison nurse. What the hell is that? The 2 laughed. What kind of profession is poison nurse? We still have a holy poison mage. Li Zunil said nothing and directly used the wind of recovery to blow on his classmates in his academy. His health value rose. All 3 of them noticed this scene. Oh, it turns out to be a nurse. Ha ha ha. Tenglong Academy saw Li Zunli's healing skills and suddenly realized. These days, there are still people who would choose the profession of nurse. Stupid, no wonder Fengshu Academy is not so good. Since it's a nurse, then naturally kill the nurse first. The 2 of them laughed and seemed very satisfied with their decision. After all, everyone knows this common sense. With the support of the nurse, it is difficult to kill the opponent. The 2 men rushed towards Li Zunil, brandishing a sword and a knife. As if they were going to perform a sword and sword combination, invincible in the world. Li Zunil, be careful. The young man from Fengshu College reminded him. No big deal. Li Zunil looked at him calmly. Stand back, I'm going to start showing off. After saying that, he waved his staff, and 2 balls of green light instantly hit the 2 people from Tenglong College. Each of them had 10 green halos on his head. The 2 men suddenly felt something was wrong, as if they were hit by something, but they didn't feel anything. Li Zunil turned his head to look at the classmate from Fengshu College. Look, do they look like green hats on their heads? Yes, very much so. Li Zunil could kill the other party instantly, but he just wanted to tease him. The 2 boys from Tenglong College were startled when they heard this. They looked at each other's heads with surprise in their eyes. Brother, you have a green hat on your head. You also have What the hell is this? I don't know. Li Zunul crossed his arms and laughed. This is called the King of Hell's life-taking technique. 3, 2, 1. Death. Swish, swish. The two turned into white light and disappeared. The numbers in the sky changed to 150/148. The next second, it changed to 150/144. Obviously, battles were also taking place in other places, and challengers were carried out. Li Zunul was thinking, Zhao Rishan's luxurious equipment should not be carried away so quickly, right? Li Zunul, my name is Zhang Peng, thank you for saving my life. Li Zunli's eyes retracted from the sky and focused on the other person. Zhang Peng, no big deal, we are family and we don't have to talk about different things. Zhang Peng saw the golden light on Li Zunli's body at a glance. Li Zunul, do you have a Dragon Ball on you? Li Zunul said without hesitation. Yes. The Dragon Ball is with you, then I feel relieved. Among the masters of our academy, I think you are the most powerful. You are very spiritual, and you are better at talking than Zhao Hao. No, big brother, I am just telling the truth. Do you say this to any master you meet? Zhang Peng smiled and said with a guilty conscience. Hee, no, no. Li Zunul seemed to see through the other party's mind, but did not expose it. He waved his staff carelessly again, using the wind of revival to restore some health to Zhang Peng. How are you going next? All the way east, then together. Ah, I'm afraid of holding you back. Zhang Peng was very tactful. My legs are very thick, you can't drag them. Li Zunul said nonchalantly. If others say this, I will definitely refute it, but if the first poison milk says this, I choose to believe it without hesitation. Zhang Peng climbed up. How could I let go of the chance to get close to someone so hard? As long as the other party doesn't despise me, I can be his younger brother. Zhao Hao is his role model. Let's go. Li Zunul walked eastward in a carefree manner. Zhang Peng excitedly followed Li Zunul. Li Zunli's speed was as slow as ever, so slow that Zhang Peng suspected that he was here for a walk-on vacation. Finally, Zhang Peng couldn't help but speak. Boss, isn't our speed too slow? You don't understand this. What do you mean? Sometimes you need to slow down, have a pair of eyes that can discover beauty, and appreciate beautiful things. Eyes that can discover beauty. Zhang Peng was very confused. The realm of the first poison milk seemed a bit high, and he couldn't comprehend it. After all, working hard to upgrade and earn money to support himself was his top priority. The first poison milk was indeed the first poison milk, and his realm was extraordinary. It was far beyond the experience of a rookie like himself. He sighed thoughtfully. Suddenly, his eyes fixed, and he said hastily. I found beauty. Ah, now it was Li Zunli's turn to be surprised. Did this guy realize it so quickly? There is a beauty over there. Oh no, 2 beauties. Zhang Peng stared blankly at the place not far away. Quote. Li Zunul curled his lips speechlessly. Good guy, it has to be a beauty. He followed Zhang Peng's gaze and saw that there were indeed 2 beauties fighting. One was in the black and white school uniform, and the other was in the Tenglong school uniform. Very beautiful, her appearance and figure were not much different from Xia Bingshe. Boss, according to the rules, challengers who are not from this school must be sent away. Zhang Peng muttered to the side. I know. Li Zunul continued to watch. But how can I do it when she is so beautiful? Zhang Peng was a little embarrassed. After all, appearance is justice. Don't panic, just wait and see, I'll be ruthless when the time comes. Li Zunul said indifferently. Zhang Peng's eyes looking at Li Zunul suddenly became complicated. He wants to be ruthless to 2 such beautiful beauties. I definitely can't do it if it's me. As expected of the number 1 poison nurse, the poison is really poisonous. At this time, one of the 2 fighting beauties spoke up. Yu Yangqing, as the school belle of Black and White Academy, you just fight when you don't agree. You Lin Shower not a pushover. I thought you, the school belle, were just a vase, but you actually have some strength. Li Zunul understood it immediately. These are 2 school beauties, from Black and White Academy and Tenglong Academy, respectively. Together with Xia Bingshe, I have seen all 3 school beauties. No regrets. At this time, outside the copy, most people's eyes are on the close-up of the 2 school beauties fighting. Because the fight is very elegant. Both of them are swordsmen, and they look heroic. Their beautiful faces, charming figures, and graceful movements are pleasing to the eye. Deans Mei Xingchen and Zhou Shanhai also watched this scene quietly. The fight between these two people is indeed quite entertaining. Compared with other shots, it looks more comfortable. Therefore, many people are paying attention. Someone with sharp eyes discovered Li Zunil and Zhang Peng, who were hiding in the distance and watching. What are those two men watching secretly? That's right, two old perverts, it's really too much. If I recognize these two people, I will beat them up. Quote. Countless spectators are rubbing their hands. Some of the spectators are students from the three major colleges, who came to watch the game specifically. Among them, there are students from Fengshu College who naturally recognize one as Li Zunil and the other as Zhang Peng. These two guys are embarrassing us. Yeah, what are they looking at secretly? Just look at them openly, it's better to send them away directly. Send these two school beauties away. I'm afraid they will be cursed by thousands of people. Quote. Guan Shanyu on the side stared at the screen calmly. He recognized that one of them was Li Zunil, who was handsome. However, Li Zunil and the other man's behavior of peeping at girls will be criticized more or less. While everyone was chattering, in the copy, Li Zunil appeared. He and Zhang Peng jumped out of the thatch and looked at Yang Qing and Lin Xiao openly. The two figures that suddenly appeared made the two school beauties stunned. All stopped their actions. Yang Qing carefully looked at the school uniforms of the two and asked first. Are you from Fengshu College? Quote. Zhang Peng nodded immediately. That's right, we are not only from Fengshu College, but the person next to me is the first poison nurse of Fengshu College, Li Zunil. The first poison nurse, Li Zunil. Lin Xiao looked at Li Zunil in surprise. Apart from anything else, his appearance was still online. What does poison nurse mean? Yang Qing immediately asked. A nurse who can poison. Zhang Peng explained. Poison. Lin Xiao suddenly took 2 steps back. She knew that there was a holy poison mage in her college, whose methods were very strange and could easily poison people, making it difficult to guard against. Here comes another poisoner, which is a bit too much. So, we are poisoned. Yang Qing's face was uncertain. Li Zunil shook his head nonchalantly. You worry too much, I haven't poisoned yet. Quote. Lin Xiao and Yang Qing looked at each other, as if they had reached some tacit understanding in their hearts. Suddenly, the two attacked at the same time, pointing their swords at Li Zunil. Li Zunil did not expect the two to be so sudden, so he ran away at a speed that was outrageous. Outside the copy, Zhou Shanhai and Mei Xingchen glanced at Guan Shanyu and found that he turned his head to look to the side. He completely ignored it. At this time, other audiences applauded. Okay, killed at first poison milk. So what if he is handsome? What's so great about it? Take him away to get rid of harm for the people. Quote. At this time, Li Zunil suddenly raised his hand, waved his staff, and 2 balls of green light instantly hit Yang Qing and Lin Xiao. Everyone was confused. What was this guy doing? Poisoning the 2 school beauties. How could he do such a thing? 3 seconds later, Yang Qing and Lin Xiao turned into white light and were carried out of the copy. Wah! Everyone reacted after a moment. Wow, this guy is so cruel to the beauties. 2 school beauties, I guess his future is quite bumpy. My goddess is gone, this cruel Li Zunil should be taught a lesson. I guess this guy will definitely become the public enemy of countless boys from Tenglong College and Black and White College. That's right, his future is worrying. I hope the school bell of Fengshu College will also be carried out. Quote. On the side, Zhou Shanhai and Mei Xingchen looked at Guan Shanyu meaningfully. This boy from Fengshu College is courageous and brave, and he is ruthless in destroying flowers. However, although this is just a competitive game and this situation is allowed, there is a little risk. How many ups and downs will he have to face in the future? Maybe there will be many flower protectors to attack this guy. They are all worried about Li Zunil. They know very well that the number of flower protectors behind these 2 girls is not small. Guan Shanyu seemed to feel the gazes of Zhou and Mei, but did not look at them. He pretended to be indifferent and continued to look at the screen. He didn't feel anything wrong, nor did he take it to heart. After all, it all depends on who can keep the 7 dragon balls. In the audience, there was a young man who looked interested but still wanted more. There were 6 words written next to his seat. Super God Academy Representative. These 6 words represent supreme glory and strength, and no one dares to despise them. On the other side, the elimination zone. Ouyang Qing and Lin Xiao, who were eliminated from the dungeon, looked at each other and were speechless. Unexpectedly, totally unexpected, when they were usually competing in dungeons and practicing skills, they never met anyone who dared to attack them directly. But today they met a tough guy. He was so cruel. This made them very embarrassed. They were carried out of the dungeon so quickly, and others would definitely think they were just vases. Ouyang Qing was indignant and pouted. Li Zunal, the #1 poison nurse, is really poisonous. Lin Xiao also kept complaining. That's right, Li Zunal is so hateful. After a while, Lin Xiao suddenly spoke. But to be honest, Li Zunli's poison is really abnormal. I couldn't even last for 3 seconds and died. Ouyang Qing seemed to remember something. I heard that you have a poisoning saint poison mage in Tenglong Academy. Yes, but without Li Zunli's poison, I can at least last for more than 20 seconds with that saint poison mage, and I can also detoxify. Lin Xiao's eyes were thoughtful. Obviously, in comparison, Li Zunli's poison is a little more powerful. What they don't know is that Li Zunal can actually kill them in seconds, but he is not so ostentatious. In the copy, Li Zunal watched the 2 beauties turn into white light and continued to head east nonchalantly. He didn't know that he had been regarded as a thorn in the eyes and flesh by countless boys from the 2 colleges. Zhang Peng looked at Li Zunal with admiration and gave a thumbs up. Big brother, you are really like this. It's nothing, just a matter of convenience. But big brother, our words and actions in the copy are watched in real time. Aren't you afraid of being targeted by many flower protectors in that scene just now? Flower protectors, I'm not afraid. Li Zunal didn't care. He put his hands in his pockets, and seemed to have no idea what an opponent was. Zhang Peng's eyes widened, full of admiration. This big brother was really fearless. If it were me, even if the school bell asked me to do it, I would have to consider whether the flower protector behind the school bell would flatten me into a meat paste. At this moment, Li Zunal suddenly felt a sense of danger. He looked around in confusion, but didn't see any figure. Strange, so strange. He shook his head. Why did he have such a strange feeling? Suddenly, a sound of breaking through the air came to Li Zunli's ears. Then, a dagger with a cold glow stabbed Li Zunli's back in the blink of an eye. Li Zunal instinctively bent forward and took a small step. He barely avoided the dagger, but his back was still stabbed by the dagger. He found that his 100% health value turned into 66%. There is an assassin. This was his first reaction. So he immediately ran. Which old shady guy is more shady than me? Li Zunal couldn't help shouting. There was actually such a person who was behind the scenes. It's really a headache. I will pass on the information that you poisoned the 2 school beauties to others, and there are many people who will cause trouble for you. A low voice came from the shadows. Li Zunal couldn't help asking, who are you? Qin Wangchuan. Let's fight. Now is not the time. There must be a fight. I will withdraw first. Li Zunal looked uncertain, waving his staff, and continued to use the wind of recovery to heal himself a few times. Until his blood volume recovered to 100%. The wounds on his body healed, and the pain disappeared. He looked around, but still couldn't see the other party. Old cunning, like a ghost. This is the first person who hurt himself. There is really something. He found that Zhang Peng was just solved by the other party. Just when he was suspicious, another dagger with a cold light as fast as lightning appeared, accompanied by the sound of breaking through the air. This time he reacted much faster, and his body sank down without hesitation. At the same time, he waved the staff and shot out 2 balls of green light, flying behind him. Qin Wangchuan, you old cunning, are you still planning to trick me? All is fair in war. This time, I really retreat. Quote. His voice came again from the shadows. Li Zunli's eyes suddenly lit up, and he quickly waved his staff. 450 dagger-sized green lights shot towards the direction of the sound. They were dense, like thousands of arrows. As the saying goes, when you are poor, you can strike with precision, and when you are rich, you can cover with firepower. As long as he is hit by 2, he will be finished. Li Zunal was careless and snorted. Good luck to you. In the shadows, Qin Huangquan was really hit by a ring, and found that his blood volume continued to decrease, but he immediately took drugs. At the same time, he quickly fled away. This poison milk made him a little panic. He hid in a corner far away, quietly watching his blood volume drop to 3%. The blood volume finally stopped falling. He let out a long sigh. This poison is really perverted. Quote, he guessed that the poison might have killed him, but fortunately he was taking drugs to replenish his health, so his health did not drop completely. Too terrible, he couldn't help but mutter. Just now he had taken all the antidotes, but they were useless. Luckily, a clone had just blocked a green light for him, otherwise he would have been hit by 2 green lights. What exactly does that green light represent? He pondered, could it be poison? If he was hit by 2, would he be completely clean? This firepower coverage is simply impossible to defend against. At this time, outside the copy, countless viewers shouted that it was a pity. It's a pity that the poison nurse was not killed just now. Yes, I really hope that the assassin will work harder and kill the poison nurse. Did the assassin just say that his name is Qin Huangquan? Is it the hidden profession Shadow Saint Thorn? Ah, are you talking about the top master of the Black and White Academy? Quote, was it him who attacked just now? He didn't kill the nanny. Quote. Guan Shanyu on the side breathed a sigh of relief. Li Zunil was almost dead, but fortunately he didn't. And Mei Xingqian, the dean of the Black and White Academy, was so anxious that he slapped his thigh. He almost killed the poisonous nanny. What a pity, he didn't know that Qin Huangquan was almost killed by Li Zunli's Yama's soul-taking technique. In the copy, Qin Huangquan decided not to provoke Li Zunil for the time being, and he would find a chance when the guy behind him was in battle. What a pity for the Dragon Ball on him. Qin Huangquan cursed and ran quickly to the east. He was still taking drugs. He didn't dare to get too involved with Li Zunil, because he was too weird. He cursed in his heart with lingering fear. Li Zunil, a nanny actually poisoned, and the poison was really poisonous. No one had ever posed such a big threat to him. Even the hidden professions of Sword Saint and Knife Saint didn't seem to be as threatening as this guy. Suddenly, a strange smile appeared on his face. As long as I spread the news that Li Zunil poisoned the 2 school beauties, there will be a lot of people looking for trouble with him. I don't even have to do it myself. On the other side, Li Zunil held the staff in his hand and walked slowly to the east. He looked around and listened to all directions. As long as there was a slight movement, he would instantly send out hundreds of green lights and shoot them out in all directions. He didn't believe that the assassin could get away with it in stealth mode. This assassin is so shameless, he's using all kinds of tricks. Li Zunil muttered as he walked. His HP just dropped to 66%, which confused him. His talent is immortality, but why is he still losing HP? Is it that when it drops to 1%, the HP will be locked? Same as the Barbarian King's ultimate move. Very likely. He walked and thought, his eyes kept scanning ahead. But the thatched grass was a bit blocked, and he couldn't see far. He looked up at the sky, and the number of challengers had changed to 150-120 seconds. In other words, 28 people were eliminated. And a few miles away from him, 2 figures were confronting each other, and the atmosphere was extremely tense. 1 man and 1 woman. The boy's voice sounded very surprised. I know you, you are the school beauty of Fengshu College, Xia Bingshe. Xia Bingshe didn't expect that the other party actually recognized her, but she didn't know the other party. But she was not surprised. As a school beauty, many people knew her. There were also many people she did not know. But she could recognize from the clothes that the other person was from Tenglong College. She looked at the other person in doubt. Who are you? I am Xia Libai. Xia Bingshe then remembered this familiar yet unfamiliar name. Are you the hidden profession, Sword Saint Xia Libai? Exactly. You want to attack me? Xia Bingshe looked at the other person curiously. Xia Libai looked indifferent and shook his head gently. Your surname is Xia, and mine is Xia too. We are from the same family. I will not fight with you for the time being. Then you, I want to find Li Chen, the Sword Saint of your college. Xia Libai said straight to the point. Li Chen, I don't know where he is. Xia Bingshe shook her head gently and looked at Xia Libai. I'll let you go first. If I have to fight you in the Dragon Ball Tower, I will still fight you. After saying that, Sha Libai left with a knife in his hand. His elegant figure looked like a hermit. Sha Bingshe breathed a sigh of relief. This Sha Libai gave him a very dangerous feeling. The other party didn't seem to take her seriously at all. Although she had the Nanming Lihuo in her hand. But she felt that this sword saint should be able to dodge it. Just when Sha Bingshe relaxed her vigilance, suddenly, she found that a light green gas appeared around her, with a radius of 4 or 5 meters, covering her. Then her blood volume slowly dropped. She knew there was a problem. Poison. She immediately rushed out a few steps, trying to get out of that area. At this moment, another male voice suddenly sounded. Sha Libai will not kill you, but I will not show mercy to women. A dark-skinned boy slowly walked out from the thatched grass nearby. He was looking at Sha Bingshe with interest. Sha Bingshe immediately took drugs and asked, "Who are you? Are you poisoning? My name is Fang Wuqing. As a saint poison mage, it is reasonable for me to poison, right?" Fang Wuqing, saint poison mage. You are from Tenglong College. Sha Bingshe saw that the other party's school uniform belonged to Tenglong College. That's right. Outside the copy, the whole place was in chaos. What the hell? Are all 3 school beauties going to die from poison? These grandsons who poisoned are really shameful. This saint poison mage, I'm going to trouble him sooner or later. You dare to touch my goddess, don't get caught by me, or I'll chop him alive. Okay, the school beauties of Fengshu College are also carried away by poison, this is fair. Quote. Guan Shanyu's face was also a little unnatural. He never thought that the school beauties of his college would also be poisoned. This is notice it retribution. Zhou Shanhai and Mei Xingchen both smiled. It seems that good is rewarded with good and evil is rewarded with evil. It's not that there is no retribution, but the time has not come yet. Yes, isn't this fulfilled? After saying that, the two looked at Guan Shanyu's slightly red face. It seemed to mean, you never thought that you would have this day. Guan Shanyu turned a blind eye and continued to look at the big screen. As long as you are not embarrassed, others will be embarrassed. In the copy, Sha Bingshui's face turned cold. She didn't expect that she was actually poisoned. This guy is too sinister, even more sinister than Li Zunil. Li Zunil at least poisoned in the open, this guy poisoned in the dark. Unnoticed, people have no time to react. She stomped her feet in anger, her pretty face full of displeasure, and waved the staff in her hand lightly. Suddenly, a powerful fireball with a diameter of 10 meters quickly condensed in the air, emitting a dazzling light. It was like a scorching sun. The high temperature from the fireball carbonized the nearby thatch. 7-star skill, Nanming Lihuo. This scorching sun-like fireball made the holy poison mage Feng Wuqing's face change drastically. The opponent's skill seemed to be a bit awesome, it must be an extraordinary skill. This was somewhat beyond his expectations. In Feng Wuqing's view, school beauties are generally just show-offs. In terms of combat ability, they are basically scum, but there should be quite a few flower-guarding messengers behind them. But this school beauty looks like something. Your skill seems to be very advanced. Feng Wuqing asked uncertainly. Anyway, it's enough to kill you. Sha Bingshui's tone was very unhappy. After speaking, she quickly waved her staff and pointed it in the direction of Feng Wuqing. The fireball in the air quickly hit Feng Wuqing's position. Feng Wuqing's face changed drastically, and he fled immediately. Such a big fireball, isn't it going to kill him right here? Anyway, the other party has been poisoned and will definitely die, and there is no point in staying here, so he fled directly to a distance. Boom! The fireball smashed down. On the ground that was hit, everything except the soil and stones was carbonized directly, and the surrounding thatch also burned directly. It was like a prairie fire. Feng Wuqing was in danger, and he escaped from the attack range of the fireball desperately, but his face was sweating profusely. He didn't dare to stay and continued to run away. Seeing Feng Wuqing running away, Sha Bingshe stomped her feet in hatred. She watched her blood volume drop bit by bit, and taking drugs couldn't stop it at all. Was she just carried away by this guy? It was really angry. She watched her blood volume drop, but she was helpless, and it was useless no matter what she did. Just when she had given up on treatment, suddenly, She felt as if she was being blown by a spring breeze, and her blood volume not only stopped falling but was also faintly increasing. The blood stopped falling. She was very surprised. But why did this wind feel a little familiar? Just as she was wondering, a familiar voice came. Oh! What a coincidence! She reacted instantly. It seems to be Li Zunil. Thinking of this, she turned and looked at the source of the sound. It was him. That familiar face, Li Zunil. Just now, after he felt a sudden burst of heat, he was curious and rushed over here. He was full of body, so his speed was extremely fast. At this time, he leaned on the staff, like leaning on a stick, and looked at Sha Bingshe calmly. I see that your health is not very healthy, so I used a wind of recovery on you. He said calmly. Sha Bingshe was surprised to find that her health had stopped falling and was still rising slowly. Her clear eyes were shining, and she looked at Li Zunil with a hint of emotion. Thank you. Her previous discouragement was swept away. At this time, outside the copy, the audience who were always paying attention to this scene were stunned. Was it that poisonous nurse Li Zunil who saved their school beauty? I thought this school beauty would also be carried away by the poison. I really didn't expect that a nurse would appear to save her. Then I guess this school beauty will not be carried away by the poison. To be honest, this Li Zunil seems to be not so annoying all of a sudden. This guy is so good at saving a beauty. The school beauty won't be moved by him. Quote. Zhou Shanhai and Mei Xingchen were surprised. It's a bit unfair that the school beauty of Fengshu College was not carried away. It's this poisonous nurse Li Zunil again. It's really a headache. Guan Shanyu was calm. He just saw that Sha Bingshui's skills were extremely lethal, and they might be of great use later. Li Zunli's behavior this time made him feel very relieved. Not bad. In the copy, Li Zunil gently waved his hand at Sha Bingshe. It's a small matter. After all, we are classmates. After saying that, he saw that the wind of resurgence skill had cooled down, and used the wind of resurgence on her again. Her health increased steadily. If nothing unexpected happened, she would not die. Li Zunil looked around and found that a large area of thatch was burned. He turned his head to look at Sha Bingshe. Did you just fight? Yes. Holy poison mage, Fang Wuqing. I mean your health is slowly decreasing, as if you were poisoned. If it weren't for your healing skills, I guess I would be dead. Sha Bingshe muttered with lingering fear. Li Zunil held his chin and asked curiously. Where is the holy poison mage? He ran away. Li Zunil immediately became alert. He thought the other party was killed. Since he ran away, he might turn back, just like that assassin Qin Wangchuan. He said he ran away, but he came back to stab him in the back. This old fool is the most shameless. Just as the two of them were talking, unconsciously, they were surrounded by a circle of light green mist. Sha Bingshe found out instantly. No, they are poisoned again. Li Zunil was not panicked at all. He directly used the wind of recovery to restore the health of the two people. The CD of the wind of recovery is 10 seconds, and the recovery ability is still good. At least the health of the two people did not continue to decline. After all, this wind of recovery is a 5-star skill, and the recovery is still very impressive. This guy, he really didn't go far. Li Zunil looked around. Suddenly, he saw movement in the deep thatch not far to the right, so he picked up the staff and ran over quickly. His speed was so fast, like a shadow. Between breaths, he rushed over and found a person running away. Run. This is what he is good at. He ran at full speed and caught up with the other party in a few breaths. Sha Bingshe also caught up with Li Zunil. Her speed was not much slower than Li Zunil. Li Zunil was like a cat catching a mouse, keeping a little distance from the other party and running side by side. Are you the holy poison master, Fang Wuqing? When Fang Wuqing found that no matter how he ran, he couldn't get rid of the other party's pursuit, he simply stopped. Li Zunil and Sha Bingshe also stopped. Fang Wuqing was very depressed when he saw the two people's abnormal speed. Yes, I am Fang Wuqing. Hello, I am Li Zunil. After saying that, he also gave himself and Sha Bingshe a sip of milk. At this time, outside the dungeon, the onlookers started to make a noise. Holy poison mage versus the number 1 poison healer. It's going to be interesting. Okay, Okay, two poisoners meet each other, let's see who is more poisonous. I guess the one who poisons will win. What you said, then I guess the man will win. It's not the woman anyway. Nonsense, it's the same as saying nothing, I suggest you shut up. Quote. 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 At this time, of course, Guan Shanyu and Zhou Shanhai were more excited. After all, this was equivalent to a confrontation between Tanglong College and Fengchu College. Whoever loses will be somewhat embarrassed. So, both of them looked at the big screen intently. Guan Shanyu was not really worried, because he knew very well how powerful Li Zunli's poison was. On the contrary, Zhou Shanhai seemed particularly worried. Because Zhou Shanhai had seen the two school beauties being carried away by the first poison nurse Li Zunil in a short time. Only 3 seconds, and this, as far as he knew, Fang Wuqing couldn't do. More importantly, Li Zunil was still a nurse, and he could still give her a few mouthfuls of milk. This was far from the mark. So he had a bad premonition. He estimated that being able to perish together would be the best ending. In the copy, Li Zunil stared at Fang Wuqing with interest. I heard you are good at playing poison. Quote. Fang Wuqing looked uncertain. It's okay. Li Zunil said faintly. What a coincidence, I can also play poison. Quote. Quote. Fang Wuqing was stunned. This guy can play poison. He looked at Li Zunli's equipment with a faint gaze, and his tone was very uncertain. Are you a poison mage? No, I'm a priest. What, a nurse? Fang Wuqing opened his mouth wide, very exaggerated, as if he could swallow the world. He looked at Li Zunil in disbelief. You are a nurse, and you can release poison. Fang Wuqing thought he had heard it wrong, so he confirmed it again and again. Is this guy mentally ill? Did he buy some poison? Are you sure he's not here to make fun of me? Li Zunil nodded and admitted it readily. Then how about we compete in poisoning? Fang Wuqing rolled his eyes. Okay, I'm going to start poisoning. Quote. Li Zunil readily agreed, and after saying that, he waved his staff, and 2 green lights instantly hit Fang Wuqing. 2 green halos hung on Fang Wuqing's head in an instant. He found that his health value was steadily decreasing, and his face changed slightly. He was not to be outdone, and directly released a ball of dark green poison gas towards Li Zunil. The dark green poison gas was not fast, but it was highly toxic. Although his light green poison gas could poison people without leaving any trace, it would lose blood more slowly and for a longer time. He usually uses light green poison gas to sneak attack others, which is very concealed. Li Zunil looked at the dark green poison gas. Although he could have avoided it, he didn't. At the moment of being poisoned, he felt that his blood loss speed was faster than the other party. There is something, but not much. Li Zunil was full of confidence. He raised his hand and hit the other party with more than 10 green lights. Fang Wuqing's face changed drastically. He found that his blood volume was dropping. It seemed that he would be finished in a few seconds. He couldn't help but say, what kind of poison is this? The king of hell's life-taking poison. Fang Wuqing turned into a white light unwillingly and helplessly. He was carried out of the dungeon. Li Zunil smiled and used the wind of resurgence to restore his health. The poison quickly reduced his health to 50%. This surprised him a little. It seemed that this holy poison mage was somewhat capable. However, he was not worried at all. After all, he had the strongest SSS talent, immortality. What was a little poison? Sha Bingshe asked with concern. Li Zunil, how are you? Are you okay? I'm invincible, how could I be in trouble? Quote. Sha Bingshe pouted and glanced at him unhappily. This guy is really not modest. He always brags. If he had a tail, it would probably be shaking to the sky. Outside the dungeon, Fang Wuqing, who was eliminated, was puzzled. As a holy poison mage, he has an A-level passive talent that is against all odds. The poisoning effect can be reduced by 99%. That's 99%, almost equivalent to being immune to poison. But it didn't work at all just now. The poison of the King of Hell. Is it really poison? He sat in the elimination zone, rubbing his head irritably, unable to understand, with a huge mystery in his heart. Lin Xiao next to him looked at Fang Wuqing and couldn't help but say, you are a holy poison mage, and you haven't even done that poison milk. Don't bring up that pot. Fang Wuqing was very depressed, turned around and looked elsewhere in a sullen manner. On the other side, Guan Shanyu looked proud and whispered. Li Zunul really didn't disappoint, well done. He finally felt proud, and was almost frustrated. Before, he was worried that this holy poison mage was a big variable, but fortunately he was carried out so quickly. He felt that he was one step closer to victory. Zhou Shanhai, the dean of Tenglong Academy, looked very unhappy. The holy poison mage was carried away just like that. This was one of the trump cards of his Tenglong Academy. Just gone. It had only been less than an hour. His face turned pale and blue, and he felt mixed emotions. At this time, the audience was talking. It's really out of the ordinary. The holy poison mage can't even beat a nurse in poisoning. That's right. This Fengchu's first poison nurse seems to be quite powerful. It's a pity that these two people didn't die together, otherwise, someone else would be poisoned later. Look, look, finally, there is a normal and passionate fight. Who is that? Sha Libai and Lin Yu. Wow, so passionate. Is that a colorful giant python? In the copy, Li Zunul and Sha Bingshe naturally walked together and headed east. At this time, Sha Libai, the sword master who was looking for the sword master Li Chen, did not find Li Chen, but met Lin Yu by accident. The two people with strong fighting desire met each other, and the battle was about to break out. Lin Yu summoned the colorful sky-swallowing python without hesitation. When the sky-swallowing python appeared, it seemed that the breath between heaven and earth was solidified. Its body was winding and circling, emitting powerful energy fluctuations, as if it could swallow everything. Compared with the last time, the sky-swallowing python has grown a lot. At the same time, Sha Libai on the other side held a long knife in his hand, and his figure was erratic like a ghost. His eyes were full of determination and firmness, and he was obviously ready to fight with the sky-swallowing python. He looked at Lin Yu with a serious look. Your giant python seems to have become a lot stronger. Of course, Lin Yu was very proud. After that, both sides moved. As the two people and the beast approached, the air seemed to burn. Sha Libai's sword flashed, and every swing of the sword was accompanied by a sharp sound of breaking wind. The sky-swallowing python was not to be outdone. It opened its huge mouth and released bursts of fishy wind. At the same time, its tail swept violently, and the stones on the ground were all shaken and splashed. The battle soon entered a white-hot stage. Sha Libai's figure moved quickly around the sky-swallowing python, sometimes appearing at the head of the python, sometimes appearing at the tail of the python, and every sword was with the force of thunder and lightning. The sky-swallowing python relied on its powerful body and strange attack methods to fight with Sha Libai. Lin Yu watched the battle from the side. Although he was nervous, he was more excited. He knew that this battle was not only about his honor, but also a huge test of his own strength. Time seemed to freeze at this moment, leaving only the sword light and the python shadow interweaving. Every collision seemed to shake the world and stir up layers of air waves. When the dust settled, Sha Libai was still standing, and the sky-swallowing python was still full of energy. Sha Libai's eyes glancing at Lin Yu. Only by killing Lin Yu can we win. This sky-swallowing python is very difficult to kill. After making up his mind, he changed his strategy. Thousands of knife shadows overlap. After he shouted loudly, the long sword in his hand instantly transformed into thousands of knife shadows, dense and suffocating. He then swung the long sword in his hand fiercely. Tianya cut with one knife. The hundreds of knife shadows gathered into a huge knife shadow with great momentum in the blink of an eye, about 10 meters long. Carrying unparalleled momentum, he slashed towards Lin Yu's position. Lin Yu saw at a glance that the opponent's skill had explosive damage. This guy, how could he be so fierce? The Sword Saint is indeed the Sword Saint. He guessed that the opponent's skills had been strengthened. He controlled the sky-swallowing python to rush to his side without hesitation, and at the same time he dodged in the direction of the sky-swallowing python. He couldn't take it hard, and he would definitely die if he took it hard. Finally, boom, the huge knife shadow slashed the giant python, making a loud noise, and a huge wound appeared on the giant python. It wailed in pain, and Lin Yu relied on the sky-swallowing python to avoid this powerful blow. He found that the giant python was seriously injured, and immediately controlled the giant python to drag himself and run deep into the forest. Sha Libai originally wanted to catch up, but found that the giant python was very fast and it was difficult to catch up. Forget it. Anyway, we will eventually go to the Dragon Ball Tower in the east. He pursed his lips slightly, looked at the direction where Lin Yu fled, and fell into deep thought. This sky-swallowing python is getting more and more terrifying as it grows. It is really hard to say whether it can be defeated in the future. He shrugged, holding the long knife, and continued to walk eastward. There was already a light of Dragon Ball flashing on his body. That was taken from other unknown students. If he killed the other party, the Dragon Ball would definitely explode. At this time, in a panic, Lin Yu rested in the forest with the sky-swallowing python. Swallowing Heaven Recovery Technique, Lin Yu whispered. The health of the sky-swallowing python was gradually rising, and the wound was gradually healing. He looked at the sky-swallowing python recovering and breathed a sigh of relief. Why is Sha Libai so fierce? He is now level 46, and the sky-swallowing python is also level 46, which is higher than Li Zunli's level 45. Because he has been upgrading alone. The attributes of the sky-swallowing python have grown a lot, but he didn't expect that he was still no match for Sha Libai. Just when he was complaining indignantly, suddenly, a sharp sound of breaking through the air came out. Then, a dagger with a cold light suddenly appeared behind him. Crack! The dagger pierced his back fiercely, and blood bloomed. Which old fool! As soon as he finished speaking, a sharp pain came out, turned into white light and disappeared, and the giant python disappeared with it. At this time, a figure slowly appeared, and a faint voice said, "Chasing is my specialty as an assassin." He is the Shadow Saint Thorn who followed him, Qin Wangchuan. He is also the old fool that Li Zunal complained about. The corners of his mouth slightly raised, as if his conspiracy succeeded. It is said that Lin Yu is an important fighting force of Fengshu Academy. After he leaves, there should be only Li Chen and Li Zunal. He crossed his arms and muttered to himself. There is also a Sword Saint Sha Libai and a Saint Poison Mage Feng Wuqing. He didn't know that the Saint Poison Mage Feng Wuqing had been carried away by Li Zunal. The next second, he flashed and entered stealth mode again. Outside the copy, Guan Shanyu saw this scene and slapped his thigh. Mei Xingqian, your assassin took advantage of others' misfortune, it's too much. Mei Xingqian didn't blush, and seemed very happy. Assassins are like this, do you expect him to show up and fight openly? Zhou Shanhai on the side said sarcastically. Old Guan, if you want to say it's too much, your #1 poison nurse took away 2 school beauties and my holy poison mage, isn't it more excessive? Guan Shanyu defended. But he didn't take advantage of others' misfortune, did he? Mei Xingqian didn't breathe. What's the difference between taking advantage of others' misfortune and not taking advantage of others' misfortune? The best way here is to survive to the end. Guan Shanyu was very depressed and didn't speak again. Because it is indeed the best way to survive to the end, and all methods can be used. The audience on the other side started to discuss. Wow, Sha Libai is still the best, he actually cut such a big wound on the giant python. It seems that Sha Libai is still stronger than Lin Yu. But Lin Yu's giant python is so cool. I really want to see Sha Libai and Li Chen PK. Yes, Sword Saint and Sword Saint. Just thinking about it makes my blood boil. To be honest, although this Saint Thorn is very powerful, it is not very good to watch, even worse than that poisonous nurse, who always makes sneak attacks. At this time, Lin Yu, who was sitting in the elimination zone, was very depressed. He was actually attacked by an assassin. Someone next to him said that the murderer who attacked him was the Shadow Saint Thorn Qin Wangchuan. This completely broke his defense. Countless horses were running wildly in his heart. This Qin Wangchuan was originally a top assassin, and he assassinated him after he met Sha Libai. It was a big mistake. He couldn't help but complain. This old fool, he must die. He looked at the people in the elimination zone, and didn't see Li Chen and Li Zunal, so he breathed a sigh of relief. Li Chen and Li Zunal, you two must avenge me. In the copy, Li Zunal put his hands in his pockets, holding a dogtail grass in his mouth, and continued to rush eastward. Sha Bingshe walked side by side with him. Li Zunal looked up at the sky and found that the number of challengers had changed again. 150/108. That means 42 people have been eliminated. The speed is faster than he thought. Xia Bingshe also looked up, with a worried look on her face. I wonder how many students are left in our college. Li Zunil didn't care at all. Don't worry, as long as I'm here, victory will definitely belong to me. Xia Bingshe turned her head to look at him. The challengers here are different from monsters and murderers. They all have some tricks. Where does your confidence come from? Of course it comes from my bones. It's just hard bones. You can understand it that way. Quote. The two walked and talked. Suddenly, a voice came from the front. We have 12 people from Tenglong Academy, against 2 people from Fengshu Academy. Isn't this just cutting melons and chopping vegetables? Don't think that people from Fengshu Academy are easy to bully. You are just relying on your numbers. Don't you know that shaking people is also a kind of ability? If you have the ability, fight alone. Young man, you are too young. How can such a good thing happen? Quick, hand over your Dragon Balls. Call me Grandpa and I will give it to you. Dragon Balls. Li Zunil and Xia Bingshe immediately accelerated forward after hearing this. Push aside the thatched grass as high as a person. The two appeared at the scene of the confrontation between the two sides. 12 students wearing Tenglong Academy uniforms were forcing the 2 students from Fengshu Academy to hand over the Dragon Balls. Li Zunil recognized the 2 Fengshu Academy students at a glance. Wang Hao and Li Shang. To be precise, the Dragon Knight Wang Hao and the swordsman Li Shang had been seen in the Super Ghost copy. Li Zunil didn't expect that the two of them would travel together. He found that Wang Hao was shining with the light of the Dragon Ball, and it was obvious that he had the Dragon Ball. Seeing Li Zunil and Xia Bingshe, Wang Hao and Li Shang were like seeing their saviors, and they were almost overjoyed and cried. Wow, the boss is here. Wang Hao immediately took out the Dragon Ball from the character's backpack and threw it to Li Zunil. Boss, I'll give this Dragon Ball to you. I can't keep it anymore. Li Zunil took the Dragon Ball and had to take out a relatively inferior 1-star equipment and put a Dragon Ball in it. A little distressed. His package is now full and not empty. If you want to put something in, you have to take something out. At this time, Li Zunil, they still have a Dragon Ball on them. Wang Hao pointed at the people from Tenglong Academy and said to Li Zunil. Li Zunil looked at one of the burly students of Tenglong Academy, who was shining with the unique golden light of the Dragon Ball. The man stared at Li Zunil covetously. Boss? What boss? He is at most a handsome guy. Li Zunil was stunned for a moment. Was he scolding himself or praising himself? He shook his head without blinking, waved his staff, and 5 balls of green light instantly hit the 5 people on the opposite side. 4 people were killed in seconds, and 1 was killed in 2 seconds. Everyone was terrified. What the hell? Kill 5 people in the blink of an eye. The next second, 5 balls of green light also hit 5 people. History repeated itself again. The remaining 2 people fled in panic. Escape. Li Zunil chuckled, waved his staff again, and 2 balls of green light shot out, instantly killing the 2 people. You know, his level is 45, so the casting distance has reached 450 meters. How far can you run in 2 or 3 seconds? Killing 12 people from Tenglong Academy, the whole process took less than 5 or 6 seconds. Wang Hao and Li Shang stared at Li Zunil in shock. Boss, have you become so powerful? I have always been very powerful. Li Zunil was nonchalant. Yes, yes, yes. Wang Hao immediately clapped his hands, and Li Shang couldn't help but clap his hands too. This is so powerful. This poison is much more powerful than the one I saw in the academy dungeon last time. Wang Hao immediately ran forward, picked up a Dragon Ball that exploded from the opponent and handed it to Li Zunil. Boss, whether our Fengshu Academy can win depends on you. It's no big deal, don't worry, I can definitely win. Li Zunil was very confident. He took the Dragon Ball and hesitated for a second, then handed it back to Wang Hao. Hold it for me, I believe in you. He felt distressed when he thought that he would have to throw away his equipment to put the Dragon Ball in his bag. That's money. He knew that Xia Bingshui's bag was also full. Wang Hao's eyes suddenly lit up. Boss, do you really believe in me so much? Of course, I think you can be great. Okay, as long as I'm not dead, I will definitely keep this Dragon Ball. Li Zunil looked at the equipment on the ground, felt distressed for a moment, and picked it up. Then he took out one of the Dragon Balls and handed it to Li Shang. Help me get one too, I believe in you too. Sha Bingshe rolled her eyes at Li Zunil. Isn't this a typical Pua? What the hell? Li Shang had never expected that Li Zunil would let him take the Dragon Ball. He was so excited that he suddenly felt the burden on his shoulders getting heavier. It seemed that he would also make a great contribution to the college's championship. He looked at Li Zunil with more admiration. Okay, don't worry, I will keep it well. Li Shang laughed, his eyes narrowed. Li Zunil nodded to him, and then put the equipment back into his backpack. Level 31 star equipment, several thousand yuan. How could he not want the money? The reason why he was assured to give them the Dragon Ball was that he thought he only needed to control one Dragon Ball. 7 Dragon Balls are indispensable. In the end, he must wait for his own Dragon Ball. So he was not worried at all. The 4 of them walked together and continued to rush eastward. At this time, in the copy, the number of challengers dropped to 96. Outside the copy, Zhou Shanhai, the dean of Tenglong College, beat his chest and stamped his feet, feeling heartbroken. A few seconds, just a few seconds, they actually lost 12 people. His face looked ugly as if he had eaten a mosquito. He looked at Guan Shanyu with resentment, as if saying, "Look at your people, what a good job they have done." Guan Shanyu turned a blind eye, and even raised the corners of his mouth slightly. "I told you to be so arrogant before. You deserve it." "Well done, Li Zunil, I'll give you a chicken leg when I go back." The smile on his face that seemed to be unable to be suppressed climbed up to the tip of his eyebrows. Zhou Shanhai saw this scene, and black lines appeared on his forehead, and his thighs were swollen from slapping. This guy, he just needs to shake his tail to the sky. Mei Xingqian from the Black and White College seemed to be watching a play. He looked at the two with a smile. At present, only his Black and White College has the least loss of people. The more fierce the confrontation between Tenglong College and Fengshu College, the more advantageous it will be for him. So he sat there in silence, watching the show. In the dungeon, Qin Wangchuan kept assassinating students from Tenglong College and Fengshu College in the shadows. He was elusive, like a killer god. He harvested the lives of challengers one after another. He almost became the nightmare of everyone in the dungeon. So far, the biggest danger he encountered was Li Zunli's dagger-like green light. Since then, he has never encountered any other danger. Challengers were carried out of the dungeon one by one. At this time, he stood quietly in the shadow of a hill. His eyes were focused on the valley not far in front of him. It was as if he was watching a good show. There were 2 figures confronting each other with swords drawn. Hidden profession, Sword Saint, Li Chen. Hidden profession, Sword Saint, Sha Libai. These 2 highly anticipated masters actually met. And they were all shining with the light of Dragon Balls. Obviously, they all have Dragon Balls. In this deserted valley, Sword Saint Li Chen and Knife Saint Sha Libai stood opposite each other. The valley was filled with a solemn atmosphere, as if even the air had frozen. Li Chen stood tall, holding a long sword, with a cold light flashing on the sword. His eyes were as deep as the sea, as if he could see through everything. Sha Libai held a long sword, the blade was as straight as iron, revealing an indomitable domineering aura. "You finally found me." Li Chen was a little surprised. He didn't expect that Sha Libai had been looking for him all the time. And he found him. "We will have a battle sooner or later." Sha Libai's fighting spirit surged. Knife Saint and Sword Saint, who is stronger? This is the answer that everyone wants to know. The 2 did not waste any extra words. "Take it." Sha Libai took the lead in launching an attack, and the blade cut through the air, making a sharp sound of breaking the wind. Li Chen's eyes were stern, and his figure seemed to disappear instantly, leaving only a residual image. Sha Libai's knife failed, but he did not panic, but quickly adjusted his position to prepare for Li Chen's counterattack. However, Li Chen did not appear in other places as he expected, but appeared behind him. The long sword in Li Chen's hand was like a spirit snake coming out of a hole, and quickly stabbed Sha Libai's back. "Good guy." Sha Libai reacted very quickly, leaning back suddenly, and sweeping his knife at the same time. Li Chen's long sword made a crisp metal collision sound when it collided with Sha Libai's knife back. The 2 people's attack and defense conversion was very fast, which was dazzling. Li Chen's swordsmanship was like flowing clouds and water, sometimes soft like catkins, and sometimes sharp like thunder. Shah Libai's swordsmanship was open and closed, and every knife was full of the momentum of breaking the cauldron and sinking the boat. During the confrontation, the two figures intersected and collided in the air, stirring up layers of air waves from time to time. The sound of metal clashing echoed in the valley's voice, accompanied by the two people's breathing and low shouts. Awesome, 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 Qin Wangchuan, who was watching the battle in the dark, said 3 times in a row. He had never seen such a wonderful duel. So pleasing to the eye, so exciting. He felt that his whole body was heating up. In the valley. After a fierce battle, Shah Libai suddenly slashed at the ground with a knife, and the powerful knife energy instantly cut a deep groove in the ground. At the same time, he took advantage of the force to soar into the air, with the blade pointing to Li Chen's eyebrows. Li Chen's eyes were as calm as water. He shook his wrist lightly, and the long sword turned into a stream of light, accurately hitting Shah Libai's blade. 2 powerful forces collided in the air, making a deafening roar. In the end, Shah Libai's knife was resolved by Li Chen's long sword. After he landed, he put away the knife and stood up, with deep surprise in his eyes. What the opponent just did was sword control technique. The sword controlling technique makes Li Chen very proactive and maneuverable. Although Shah Libai knew that the other party had the sword controlling technique. But after experiencing it personally, he was still very shocked. The other party's proficiency in sword controlling technique was very high, and it seemed that he could do it easily and perfectly. You are really strong. Shah Libai's eyes were full of crazy fighting spirit. You are not bad either. Li Chen's voice was low and steady. Outside the copy, all the audience held their breath, afraid to miss a glance. Seeing the two people taking a break, they began to discuss. Sword Saint vs Sword Saint, it's so cool. After watching for so long, this PK is the most exciting, don't stop, keep going. You are talking without any pain in your waist. Quote. On the side, Zhou Shanhai, the dean of Tenglong College, and Guan Shanyu all held their breath, staring intently at the hearty fight between Shah Libai and Li Chen. They are both very nervous now. Even more nervous than Li Chen and Shah Libai themselves. These two are the signature figures of the two colleges. Once the dust settles and the winner is decided, it will basically determine how the balance of victory will tilt. Guan Shanyu is particularly nervous. After all, Fengshu College has been ranked last for several consecutive years. He is eager for a victory to restore the reputation of Fengshu College. In the copy, Shah Libai and Li Chen are facing each other from a distance. Both of them have very solemn expressions. Shah Libai's eyes are shining, and he slowly raises his long sword and swings it suddenly. Thousands of sword shadows overlap. Countless sword shadows emerge from the long sword in his hand, densely packed. Li Chen, take it. After saying that, he jumped into the air and swung his sword towards Li Chen. Tianya slash. Li Chen's pupils shrank slightly, and his eyes were full of fighting spirit. He could actually hide, but he didn't want to hide at this moment. In the blink of an eye, 4 long swords appeared in his hands and kept spinning in front of him. Then, he gestured quickly with both hands and shouted softly, "Holy sword technique." In the shadows, Qin Wangchuan opened his mouth wide, very surprised. Holy sword technique. Chapter 51. It's amazing. Qin Wangchuan knew very well. Although there is only one word difference between the holy sword controlling technique and the sword controlling technique, there is an essential difference between them. It's like the difference between a car model and a car model. As long as a general swordsman has money, he still has the opportunity to buy the sword controlling technique skill book and learn this skill. Although the chance is very low, there is a chance after all. But the holy sword controlling technique is not something a swordsman can learn if he wants to. It is a special skill that can only be encountered by chance. The last person who knew the holy sword controlling technique was Mei Chongshu, who came from Langya Academy. It is said that he has entered the cosmic cube and fought for this side of the human race. Qin Wangchuan held his chin and fell into deep thought. He guessed that this holy sword controlling technique must be a skill that Li Chen automatically learned when he triggered the hidden profession of sword saint. Or was it caused by some talent of his? He shook his head, frowned, and couldn't be sure. But he was sure of one thing, Li Chen should be stronger than Shah Libai. At this time, Outside the dungeon, everyone was secretly shocked. Among this class of students, there are actually people who know the holy sword technique. This is simply a shocking news, which has driven them completely crazy. Great job! Guan Shanyu was so excited that his face trembled. He knew that Li Chen was strong, but he didn't expect that he was so strong that he could have such a heaven-defying skill. This time, Fengchu Academy's champion is stable. Holy sword technique. The mayor of Wolong City, Zhuge Tianming, stared at Li Chen in disbelief. The emergence of this holy sword technique is of great significance to Wolong City. It is very likely to directly raise Wolong City's status in Sha country. It may also affect the number of luck crystals in Wolong City. Where luck crystals are covered, no game monsters will descend. Every city has luck crystals more or less. This is really a talent. Among the audience, the young man on the representative seat of the Super God Academy exclaimed. His name is Zhao Chengqing, and he is one of the representatives arranged by the Super God Academy to inspect various cities. The purpose is to find people with extraordinary talents. Apparently he was lucky to find one. Even though he had seen many geniuses, he couldn't help but be a little surprised when he saw Li Chen. In addition, he was a little interested in Li Zunal, and he was very curious about what the other party's skill was. It seemed very strange, but very powerful. The feeling that the other party gave him was, kill 10 people in one step, leave no trace in 1,000 miles, leave after the task is completed, and hide your body and name. Zhou Shanhai, the dean of Tenglong Academy, and Mei Xingchen, the dean of Black and White Academy, both had worries on their faces at this moment. If nothing unexpected happens, the champion this time should be Fengchu Academy. In the copy, the 4 long swords in Li Chen's hands rotated at high speed, and sword shadows continued to emerge. The momentum was so great that it seemed to make the surrounding space tremble. Finally, a huge sword shadow spanned the sky and shot towards Sha Libai. Sha Libai's Tianya Yidao Zan was also extremely powerful, but it was slightly inferior to Li Chen's huge sword shadow. But, at this time, Sha Libai's mouth corners were raised, as if he was confident. He thought to himself, I guess you didn't expect that I still have a unique skill. 10 swords of Tianya Zan. As soon as the voice fell, Tianya Yidao Zan changed from 1 sword shadow to 10 sword shadows. The 10 sword shadows were extremely powerful and the momentum was overwhelming. This was his S-level talent, 10 times amplification, a skill that can amplify 10 times in a short period of time. Sha Libai's power rose again, and he could barely compare with Li Chen for a while. This shocked Qin Wangchuan, who was eating melons on the side, again. These 2 people actually have unique skills, how can we play this? At this time, Li Chen's mighty sword shadow and Sha Libai's 10 knife shadows finally collided. Boom! After the huge sound, a strong air wave blew Li Chen and Sha Libai away. The health of both of them dropped a lot. The air wave shook all the flowers, plants and trees in the valley to bend down. Qin Wangchuan couldn't help but use his hands to block the air wave. Suddenly, his whole body was tense, and his eyes suddenly became hot, as if he saw prey. Because he saw Li Chen was blown away by the air wave not far from him, his body flew backwards and swayed. And he had been in stealth mode, and no one had discovered him. His eyes suddenly became hot. As an assassin, if he didn't take action now, when would he? He drew out his dagger without hesitation, rushed forward, aimed at Li Chen's back, and stabbed it hard. Li Chen only felt that there was danger behind him, but he had no time to react, and only heard a sharp sound of breaking through the air. Then, he turned his head and saw a cold light in his peripheral vision. Then, he felt a sharp pain in his back, transformed into a white light. This. Sha Libai on the opposite side couldn't believe it when he saw this scene. There was actually an assassin hiding on the side, waiting for an opportunity to strike. If he was blown over there, he would be the one to suffer. He couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. He immediately took the knife and left quickly. He couldn't let this assassin target him, he was in a very bad state now. He needed to slow down first. Outside the copy, completely blown up. Wow, this assassin actually took advantage of someone's misfortune. I'm so annoyed watching him. Too hateful, is it Qin Wangchuan from the Black and White Academy? He, actually took the opportunity to assassinate Li Chen. What a shady old man. So shady, even more hateful than that first poisonous milk. But as an assassin, what's wrong with him? Quote. Guan Shanyu's face was dark, and he looked at Mei Xingchen with angry eyes, as if he wanted to beat him up. Li Chen was his biggest support, and he was gone just like that. Lin Yu was gone too. And they were all killed by that assassin who took advantage of someone's misfortune. Although there was still a Li Zunal, he was a priest after all, and his ability to survive was very worrying. He covered his chest and felt a little breathless. Although Mei Xingchen was very happy in his heart, he was embarrassed to show it. In that scene just now, he felt a little bit of taking advantage of someone's misfortune. A bit embarrassing. However, he didn't feel too upset. After all, the final victory was the real victory. In the copy, Qin Wangchuan saw Li Chen turned into white light by his sneak attack. The corners of his mouth slightly raised, with a smile. Although his methods were shameless, this was a world where the strong preyed on the weak. Assassins must have the awareness of assassins. It was impossible to show up and fight people head-on for the so-called face. At least that didn't fit his understanding of assassins. As long as he could survive to the end, then everyone would remember him. He glanced at the direction where Sha Libai left, and quickly touched it. On the other side, Li Zunal led Sha Bingshe, Wang Hao, and Li Shang. Slowly walked towards the Oriental Dragon Ball Tower, neither hurried nor slow. It didn't look like they were here for a competition, but like they were here for a walk. As he walked, he thought, will Zhao Rishan be carried out? Did his luxurious equipment go to him for nothing? Just when he was wondering, a cursing voice suddenly came from the front. I, Zhao Rishan, have 100 ways to kill you. Believe it or not. Believe it or not, I, Yi Liangchen, have 1,000 ways to kill you. Look at my luxurious equipment. It will blind your dog eyes. My equipment is not bad either. It sparkles. I tell you, I, Zhao Rishan, have a big brother. The best jinx in Fengshu Academy. I, Yi Liangchen, also have a big brother, Yi Xiao, the best mage in Black and White Academy. My big brother can eat shit. My big brother can eat 10 kilograms. Li Zunal, who was always carefree, suddenly turned pale when he heard this. This Zhao Rishan is always destroying his own stage behind his back. He really doesn't cry until he knows the person well. If I had known earlier, I should have stuffed his mouth with spaghetti mixed with number 42 concrete. He. Sha Bingshe on the side giggled, her face as beautiful as a flower. She rarely saw Li Zunli's frustrated expression. This huge contrast made her laugh. He. Wang Hao and Li Shang also turned their heads to the side, laughing without leaving any trace. The first poison milk of Fengshu College was actually said to be very good at eating shit. This is indeed a bit too much. How dare ordinary people say that? It is estimated that only Zhao Hao, after all, he is so close to Li Zunal that he dares to say that. Li Zunal took a quick step and arrived at the scene in a few breaths. I saw a student from the Black and White Academy holding a long knife with a cold glow and swearing at Zhao Rishan. Zhao Rishan also held a sharp long sword in his hand and confronted him. But the two of them didn't move for a long time, and they kept arguing. The knives and swords in their hands were like decorations. They looked like they were yelling at each other across the iron fence, dogs. Undoubtedly, both of them were cowards. Li Zunal looked at him with contempt. He didn't know that the two had been swearing for several minutes. Outside the copy, countless viewers laughed when they saw the two of them talking but not fighting. They laughed so hard that they fell backwards and their faces turned red. The crouching dragon and the phoenix have collided. How to solve it? If no one stops them, I feel that the two of them will probably quarrel until the end of the game. This number, 1 poison milk and the no. 1 mage are really in trouble. They are forced to eat shit, and it's 10 pounds. I can't laugh anymore. It can be seen that both of them are gentlemen who talk but don't fight. Puff. Ha ha ha. In the copy, Li Zunli's sudden appearance stunned Zhao Hao and Yi Liangchen who were arguing. Zhao Hao widened his eyes and stared at Li Zunal in disbelief. Big brother. His voice was trembling a little, and it was unknown whether it was because of guilt or shock. Yi Liangchen laughed when he heard Zhao Hao call him big brother. You are his big brother. The number one jinx. And you are so handsome. Ha ha. He paused, his face full of sarcasm. Come on. He said you can eat shit, eat one and show me. Black lines appeared on Li Zunli's forehead, and he gently waved his staff. Instantly, Yi Liangchen was hit by a ball of green light and then killed instantly. Zhao Hao saw Li Zunli's unhappy expression and hesitated. Big brother, listen to my explanation, I just said that because I was forced into a corner. Li Zunil waved his staff, and a green light shot at Zhao Hao. Zhao Hao found that his blood volume kept dropping, and he immediately panicked. Big brother, don't be like this. Seeing Zhao Hao's panic, Li Zunil ignored him, snorted, turned his head 45 degrees and looked up at the sky. 150-70 seconds. There are only 72 people left. The number of challengers is less than half, and the next step will be white hot. At this time, Zhao Hao grabbed Li Zunli's hand and begged bitterly. Brother, give me a sip of milk, I will definitely not talk nonsense next time. Li Zunil said lightly. Is it wrong? Wrong, brother. Zhao Hao admitted his mistake with a very sincere attitude. Li Zunil waved his staff carelessly and gave Zhao Hao a sip of milk with the wind of revival. He spoke slowly and calmly. If you ruin my reputation again in the future, I will take back your equipment. No, I just said that I was angry. It's not okay even if you were angry. Yes, I know, brother. Zhao Hao looked like he knew he was wrong and corrected it. But according to Li Zunli's understanding of him, it is estimated that these words will only work for these 2 minutes. Just when everyone was about to move forward, suddenly, a loud noise came from all around. The next second, countless magic and arrows blasted over. In the blink of an eye, everyone was overwhelmed by the skills. Li Zunil didn't even have time to react, and he felt that his whole body was hit hard. He saw from the corner of his eye that several people around him turned into white light and received lunch boxes. Including Xia Bingshe. There were 2 dragon balls on the ground, which were exploded from Wang Hao and Li Shang. Li Zunil immediately checked his blood volume. 1%. Blood locked. As expected, the key to the immortal talent is to lock blood. He smiled happily. Although the severe pain from his body made him uncomfortable, he successfully verified this talent for the first time. At this time, outside the copy, the most nervous person was Guan Shan. He clenched his fists, his palms sweating. Through the screen, he certainly found that Li Zunil and others were about to face an ambush. Because there was the other party's perspective, his heart was about to jump out of his throat. He wanted to run in to remind them, but he was powerless and could only watch everything happen. It was just like seeing Lin Yu and Li Chen being assassinated by Qin Wangchuan. Unwilling but helpless, if Li Zunil and the others died, there would be no Fengshu Academy. Guan Shanyu now hates the style of the Black and White Academy. They are all doing some old shady things, which is disgusting. However, Mei Xingqian, the dean of the Black and White Academy, thinks that the result is the most important, and the means are not important. Their school motto is, "The world is white, only I am black." This is also the purpose of the Black and White Academy to the end. At this moment, Lin Yu and Li Chen in the elimination zone both held their breath and looked at the big screen. Lin Yu slapped his thigh hard. Why are all the Black and White Academy full of old perverts? Kill him. No matter how calm Li Chen was, he couldn't help but complain. I really want to kill these guys. Lin Yu's tone was worried. It's over, I guess Fengshu Academy will miss the championship again this time. But Li Chen's eyes lit up. Wait, Li Zunil is not dead yet. In the copy, Li Zunil waved his staff and healed himself, and his blood volume recovered quickly. At this time, he was the only one left, and around him appeared 20 or 30 students from the Black and White Academy. One of the calm young men walked out of the crowd and looked at Li Zunil carefully. He was interested and slowly said, "The first poisonous healer, Li Zunil. Hello, my name is Yi Xiao." Yi Xiao. Li Zunil felt that it sounded a little familiar. Yes, you just killed my little brother. I will wipe you all out. Oh, you are the big brother of Yi Liangchen, the one who can eat 10 kilograms of shit. Li Zunil suddenly realized. Yi Xiao's forehead suddenly became black. He was furious when he heard this, thinking to himself, Yi Liangchen deserved to die. Good death. He kept talking nonsense everywhere, ruining his reputation and making a fool of himself. Yi Xiao paused, and said with a joking tone, "If you take their words seriously, can you eat shit?" Li Zunli's mouth twitched. He didn't expect to meet an opponent. He immediately changed the subject. "Let's not talk about anything else. Why do you always do such sneaky things in Black and White Academy?" Yi Xiao didn't care at all and looked at Li Zunil indifferently. "Only the result is important, not the process. That means you believe in using any means necessary. Of course, don't you know what our school motto is?" "Your school motto?" Li Zunil really didn't know. He was too lazy to understand the other party's school motto. It's not like he was idle all day. He was busy fooling people to make a living before. Yi Xiao's eyes were burning and his tone was very firm. "The world is white, but I am black," Li Zunil suddenly realized, and said in a strange tone. "Oh, what you call black is to do something behind the scenes." Yi Xiao was stunned when he heard this. He had not studied it carefully. He hesitated and couldn't say anything for a long time. Anyway, Li Zunil shook his head, looking disappointed. "I thought I was uneducated enough, but you are even less educated than me." He couldn't help but continue to spit. "No wonder you have the wrong atmosphere." At this time, he put on a teacher's look. "Let me explain it to you. The complete sentence is, the world is white, only I am black, I don't attack the Mo sect, I love everyone." Yi Xiao was stunned. He devoted himself to studying skills, so how could he learn history? He just let him talk nonsense. Li Zunil was not afraid of the crowd. "You ran away with half of the money, you lack culture. Besides, this black man is not a black man who does dirty things. What he means is that for the sake of light, he is willing to stay in the darkness alone." Li Zunil looked contemptuous. At this time, outside the copy, Mei Xingqian, the dean of the Black and White Academy, was a little restless. These 20 or 30 people were actually taught a cultural lesson by the other party. And in such a big occasion. Where is the face? What does the mayor think? What do other colleges think? He thought to himself, why don't you kill him quickly? Let him continue to make dirty jokes. Is his brain what? Zhuge Tianming saw Li Zunil talking freely on the big screen and thought that this kid was quite cultured. Guan Shanyu clapped his hands softly and muttered softly. Well said. His voice was neither loud nor low, but it was loud enough for Mei Xingqian, who was not far away, to hear. Mei Xingqian's face turned slightly red, and it was obvious that he was a little embarrassed. And the students of the Black and White Academy in the audience seemed to have suddenly become enlightened. They were actually thinking seriously about what Li Zunil said. For the sake of light, are you willing to stay alone in the darkness? They had understood it literally before, and thought, everyone else is out in the open, and I'm the one who's doing it in secret. As the leader, Yi Xiao was very embarrassed. Enough, your death is coming. But Li Zunil still didn't care. It seems that my words have touched your soul, and you can't wait to do it to me. You're going to die anyway. Yi Xiao was ready to swing his staff after he finished speaking. But Li Zunil had already prepared to do it. He waved his staff lightly, and 20 or 30 green balls of light shot out at the same time. Everyone in the Black and White Academy was hit by a green ball of light. Then, Li Zunil immediately ran away without stopping, leaving everyone in the wind in disarray. Yi Xiao and others had never expected that the opponent's speed was so fast that he disappeared in the blink of an eye. Is this a priest? Is this guy really not cheating? Everyone came to their senses, and someone exclaimed, my blood is dropping like crazy. Me too, me too. Yi Xiao also found that his blood volume dropped sharply, and his face changed drastically. He looked at the direction where Li Zunil escaped, and he was furious. This old shady guy. He said that the people in the Black and White Academy were shady, but he himself was not so shady. And he talked so much nonsense in a high-sounding manner. In less than 10 seconds, the students who had finally gathered together in the Black and White Academy all turned into white light. They were carried out of the copy. Li Zunil ran back after 10 seconds. He picked up a few dragon balls and wrapped them in his school uniform. He was reluctant to throw away his equipment and dragon balls. He now had 4 dragon balls. Because a dragon ball just exploded on Yi Xiao. He pursed his lips, a little unhappy. It seems that I have to do this hard work myself. After walking a few steps to the east, he stopped and slowly fell into the thatched grass that was as tall as a person. Just take a break. He lay in the thatched grass with a dogtail grass in his mouth, feeling very comfortable. At the same time, he was thinking about a problem. It seems that his resurrection technique can't be used. In this place, once a person dies, he will turn into white light, and there is no corpse at all. He guessed that this resurrection technique can only revive people who died in reality. And it can't be used in this kind of artificial copy. At this moment, outside the copy, Guan Shanyu saw the students of the Black and White Academy being carried out, and he blew his beard and glared. Good. Well done. His voice was so loud that he was completely unrestrained. This made Mei Xingqian on the side extremely depressed, and his face was full of embarrassment. Zhuge Tianming on the side couldn't help but turn his head to look at Guan Shanyu, but he didn't say anything. He could see that Guan Shanyu was upset. The ace Lin Yu was killed by the opponent's dirty hands. The ace Li Chen was also killed by the opponent. This weird Li Zunal was almost killed, but luckily he was lucky. But why was Li Zunal not killed? Facing so many attacks, Zhuge Tianming had a huge question in his mind, just because he was a nanny. Did he secretly give himself a special treatment? Question mark. Elimination zone. Lin Yu, Li Chen, Sha Bingshe, Zhao Hao and others, seeing Li Zunal carrying away 20 or 30 people from the Black and White Academy, couldn't help but slap their thighs and muttered. Well done. These people deserve to be killed. It's really a relief. Big brother avenged me, well done. Fortunately, Li Zunal didn't die. If he died, there would be no hope at all. Now it seems that Fengshu Academy still has a little hope. I hope he can kill that Qin Wangchuan. Yes, that guy is so hateful that he took advantage of the situation and assassinated two masters, Lin Yu and Li Chen. But at the same time, everyone also has a question. Why didn't Li Zunal get killed under such dense firepower? Is he forcing himself? Of course, only Li Zunal knows this question. In the copy, Qin Wangchuan looked indifferent and sneaked in the wilderness. His figure was like a ghost, walking silently. Once he met someone who was not from the Black and White Academy, he would carry him away directly. He originally wanted to follow Sha Libai, but the other party was very fast and he didn't know where he ran. So, he rushed to the Eastern Dragon Ball Tower while dealing with the challengers. He looked up and saw the number of challengers in the sky. 150 20 seconds. He had 2 Dragon Balls on him, and he got Li Chen's Dragon Ball. Sha Libai also had 1 Dragon Ball on him. Adding them together, there were 3 Dragon Balls in total. There were still 4 left. He didn't know that the other 4 were all in Li Zunli's hands. Qin Wangchuan carefully analyzed the current situation. Lin Yu was carried away by him, and Li Chen was carried away by him. Except for Sha Libai, the rest of the people didn't seem to be a big threat. No, he suddenly remembered. There is also Li Zunal, that poison milk. This guy who is easy to ignore almost carried him away. I don't know, is he dead? Qin Wangchuan held his chin and pondered. He hoped that Li Zunal had been carried away by others. After all, the green light of that guy seemed a bit scary. But things did not go as he wished. At this time, Li Zunal was lying in the grass with 3 Dragon Balls in his arms, resting comfortably. There was another Dragon Ball in his character's backpack. A total of 4. He was regretting. He regretted that he should not have thrown away a piece of equipment to put in the Dragon Ball at the beginning of the game. After all, it might be worth thousands of yuan. He crossed his legs and looked up at the blue sky, counting the equipment in his backpack from time to time. Most of the equipment and gems in his backpack were above 3 stars. And the backpacks of Tan Huan, Sha Bingshe and Zhao Hao were almost all 1 star and 2 star. He did it on purpose. He was worried that the 3 young men were too young. When faced with advanced or even top-level equipment, they might lose control and lose their minds, and do something out of line. After all, he had lived 2 lives, so he had to be more careful. Thinking of this, he habitually reached into his pocket. I forgot I had no gum. After resting for 20 minutes, he got up quickly. Then he took a step and rushed eastward at a very fast speed. He adjusted his strategy. He decided to win as soon as possible, sell equipment as soon as possible, and then eat delicious food and drink spicy drinks. After all, Sha Bingshe and Zhao Hao had been carried out by the concentrated fire. But he didn't know whether Tan Huan had been carried away. Time passed by minute by minute. The game continued. Unknowingly, it was already 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It had been more than half a day since the start of the game. It's almost there. Li Zunil hurried on his way while looking into the distance. He was extremely fast. After all, he was full of body, and when he was on the road, his figure was as fast as a stream of light. The closer he got to the east, he found that more and more beasts and monsters began to appear. From time to time, they would jump out and stop him. These beasts and monsters were not very high in level, almost all between level 20 and level 60. However, this was not difficult at all for Li Zunil. He believed that even a level 100 monster would still not pose any threat to him. After killing several waves of monsters in seconds, he figured out a pattern. These monsters were coming for the Dragon Ball in his hand. He had a vague idea in his mind. The dungeon mission was to activate the 7 Dragon Balls and guard them until the end. He suspected that the guarding mission was not to prevent other challengers from snatching the 7 Dragon Balls, but to prevent the monsters in this dungeon from snatching the 7 Dragon Balls. So, how many monsters would there be by then? The dungeon mission was very clear, requiring the Dragon Balls to be guarded until the end. But it didn't say that he successfully guarded it to the end. Now that I think about it, there is something behind this statement. Meaning, no one can successfully guard it to the end. He continued to run away with doubts in his heart. Finally, in his field of vision, the outline of a tall white tower gradually appeared. As the distance got closer, the white tower became clearer in Li Zunli's eyes. It stood on the vast land, exuding a mysterious and ancient atmosphere. The tower body was as white as jade and as smooth as a mirror, as if it was carved from a huge piece of jade. The tower towered into the clouds and pierced the sky, as if connected to the sky and the earth. The golden disk on the top of the tower shone in the sun, like a bright pearl, giving people a noble and mysterious feeling. The white tower was surrounded by a vast grassland, which was full of wild flowers of various colors, red, yellow, blue, purple, colorful. This environment is pretty good. Li Zunil sighed while running fast. Soon, he came to the white tower with great interest, walked around it and looked at it carefully. The white tower has only one gate, about 5 or 6 meters high and 3 or 4 meters wide. There are 4 words on the plaque of the gate: 7 Dragon Ball Tower. So this is it. Li Zunil walked into the gate carelessly, holding the staff in one hand and the clothes holding the Dragon Balls in the other. After entering, what suddenly came into view were 7 very conspicuous 1-meter-high round stone pillars. The top of the stone pillars was a pointed cone shape, and the tip was a fist-sized groove. Li Zunil carefully observed the groove, which just matched the size of the Dragon Ball. Obviously, these 7 stone pillars are used to hold the 7 Dragon Balls. He looked around and found a text description in the center of the tower floor. Note: once you start placing Dragon Balls, the Dragon Ball Tower will emit a Dragon Ball atmosphere, causing all monsters in the dungeon to rush to grab them, and challengers outside the Dragon Ball Tower will be caught in the monsters' endless crazy pursuit. The more Dragon Balls you place, the crazier the monsters will be. Quote. Seeing this, Li Zunil suddenly gloated. The more Dragon Balls you place, the crazier the monsters will be. He held the 4 Dragon Balls in his hands, with a strange smile on his face. He seemed to have found something interesting, took a step, walked to the gate of the White Tower, and looked up at the sky. 150/18. That means, in addition to me, there are 17 people. Li Zunil muttered with his chin in his hand. His eyes kept spinning, as if he was thinking about something. He smiled and walked into the Dragon Ball Tower again. I'm sorry, you are too slow, so I can only let the monsters speed you up. After that, he took out a Dragon Ball, slowly placed on a stone pillar. Buzz! A majestic and vast breath emanated from the Dragon Ball Tower, mysterious and ancient. At this time, all the monsters and beasts in the copy were all violent, and the monsters in every corner quickly rushed towards the Dragon Ball Tower. And the monsters seemed endless, one wave after another. At the same time, all the surviving challengers received a message. Attention! The Dragon Ball has been placed in the Dragon Ball Tower, and the monsters have begun to riot. Please approach the Dragon Ball Tower as soon as possible, otherwise you will be caught in the endless pursuit of the monsters. The current number of Dragon Balls placed, 1. Reminder. The more Dragon Balls there are, the stronger the monsters are. This message has just ended, and the next message comes again. Attention! The Dragon Ball has been placed in the Dragon Ball Tower, and the monsters have begun to riot. Please approach the Dragon Ball Tower as soon as possible, otherwise you will be caught in the endless pursuit of the monsters. The current number of Dragon Balls placed, 2. Reminder. The more Dragon Balls there are, the stronger the monsters will be. Then there are 2 more similar messages, the only difference is the number of Dragon Balls placed. The last message has 4 Dragon Balls. That is, 4 Dragon Balls. They have been placed in the Dragon Ball Tower. All challengers were confused. How could 4 Dragon Balls be placed all of a sudden? It was too sudden. They were completely caught off guard. The most terrible thing is that they will soon be caught in the endless pursuit of monsters. This is to force themselves to go to the Dragon Ball Tower quickly, otherwise they will die. Among them, the most surprised one is the Shadow Saint Thorn, Qin Wangchuan. He has seen the figure of the White Tower, and he is very close to the White Tower. But what surprised him was, who could place 4 Dragon Balls at once? You know, he only has 2 Dragon Balls. With great confusion in his heart, he quickly rushed to the Dragon Ball Tower. At the same time, he entered stealth mode again. But, he suddenly found that he was not invisible in stealth mode. Why? His stealth and invisibility were useless. He suddenly seemed to remember something, and immediately took out the 2 Dragon Balls in the character's backpack and threw them aside. Then, he found that he could be invisible again in stealth mode. It turns out that after a Dragon Ball is activated, other Dragon Balls will also be affected. He looked at the 2 Dragon Balls on the ground hesitantly. Otherwise, leave the Dragon Balls here first and go see who is in the tower. Just as he was hesitating about what to do, he saw an uninvited guest who came quickly. Sword Saint, Sha Libai. His eyes rolled, and a plan came to his mind immediately. He kicked 2 Dragon Balls towards Sha Libai's path. Then he entered stealth mode and disappeared, as if he had never appeared. In fact, he had gradually approached the Dragon Ball Tower and lurked in the shadows outside the Dragon Ball Tower, like a ghost waiting for an opportunity. At this time, Li Zunel stood in front of the tower gate with his hands in his pockets, looking at the wilderness outside the tower gate. He knew that there might be assassins nearby, but with his strength, he didn't need to play tricks and schemes with anyone. Kill gods and Buddhas. Whoever comes will die. Just be careful not to get hurt. Above the sky, the number showed 155. 5 people. Only 5 people left. Who will be the remaining 4 people? Li Zunel pulled out his right hand from his pocket and guessed with his chin in his hand. He firmly believed that Qin Wangchuan, the old fool, must be there. Maybe he was nearby. He casually took out a shining staff from his backpack. If you look closely, you will see 5 pale golden stars flashing on the staff, which is gorgeous and dazzling. But he was holding the staff like a crutch. He didn't treat it as a good thing at all. Perhaps he was the only one who treated a 5-star staff like a stick. He muttered softly, "It seems that it's over." Just then, a slender figure suddenly appeared not far in front of him. He looked closely and found that it was Tan Huan. He had never expected that 2 of the remaining 5 people would be from Fengshu Academy. He couldn't help but sigh. It seems that the assassin has stealth and his survival ability is really strong. She rushed to Li Zunel quickly and shouted, "Li Zunel, let me in." Li Zunel nodded immediately, then stepped aside to let her in. Tan Huan, he was trustworthy, so he was not worried. Li Zunel couldn't help but speak. "You are really something, with such strong survivability." Tan Huan laughed. "Thanks to my attribute of adding a lot of body, but I know you are smarter than me, but you just don't care." She walked into the Dragon Ball Tower and saw the 4 Dragon Balls placed, and was very surprised. "You put 4 Dragon Balls by yourself?" "Yes, it's a bit unexpected, but I'm numb. There are too many surprises about you." After looking around, Tan Huan looked at Li Zunel. "Li Zunel, what should we do next?" "Just guard this door. But there are still 3 Dragon Balls. Someone will definitely deliver them." Li Zunel seemed to be confident. Then, he looked towards the wilderness, his pupils shrank slightly, and he found a figure approaching quickly. He looked carefully, rubbed his eyes, and suspected that he had seen wrongly. He turned out to be Tang Xiaosan, the one who failed to show off in the competitive dungeon. Li Zunil didn't know that Tang Xiaosan easily defeated Wang Tang. So he didn't expect that Tang Xiaosan could survive until now. Unexpected, very unexpected. This Tang Xiaosan must be extraordinary. He thought about it and suddenly said, I didn't expect that there are 5 people left, and our college has at least 3 people. Tan Huan was very surprised when he heard this, and immediately walked to the door and looked at the other party. He seems to be the Tang Xiaosan. Yes, it's him. At this time, outside the dungeon, everyone began to look forward to it and talked about it. As long as a Dragon Ball is put into the Dragon Ball Tower, the pace will be accelerated. It seems that this competition will end within 1 day. There are only 5 people now, including people from the 3 major colleges. I wonder who will win the first place in the end. Quote. On the side, Guan Shanyu saw that among the remaining 5 people, his college had 3 people alone, and he had some expectations in his heart. Although there were no Li Chen and Lin Yu, there were Li Zunil, Tang Xiaosan, and Tan Huan. These 3 people should be very strong. It is not impossible to win the final victory. The only thing he is worried about now is the Shadow Saint Thorn, Qin Wangchuan. Because the opponent's threat is too great. Li Zunil and Tang Xiaosan are both long-range professions and are more afraid of assassins. Although Tan Huan is an assassin, it is obvious that he cannot compare with Qin Wangchuan in all aspects. The Shadow Saint Thorn, Qin Wangchuan, has not used a big move so far. So he is a little worried. Zhou Shanhai, the dean of Tenglong College, and Mei Xingchen, the dean of Black and White College, all became nervous. Mei Xingchen looked more relaxed. He knew Qin Wangchuan's strength and judgment very well, and he was definitely he is a gifted assassin. In addition, he is a hidden profession, Shadow Saint Thorn. He believes it very much. If everyone in this copy will die, Qin Wangchuan will definitely be the one who survives to the end. And the one who survives to the end is the champion. Thinking of this, the corners of his mouth slightly raised. It seems that he is determined to win. On the other side, although Zhou Shanhai, the dean of Tenglong Academy, has confidence in the sword Saint Sha Libai, he is not confident enough. Because in the copy, there is an unpredictable Qin Wangchuan and a weird Li Zunil. And Li Zunil has 2 helpers. He thinks that the probability of Tenglong Academy winning the championship is not very high. At this moment, in the copy, Tang Xiaosan is about to say hello to Li Zunil. But something strange happened. Not far from Tang Xiaosan, a huge sword shadow cuts through the sky, extremely powerful. With lightning speed, he slashed towards Tang Xiaosan. Tang Xiaosan noticed the movement and instinctively turned his head to look at the knife shadow, and his face changed instantly. If he was hit by this knife, he would definitely die on the spot. He immediately rolled forward and dodged in a panic. At the same time, Li Zunil immediately gave Tang Xiaosan a mouthful of milk. Not noticing that Tan Huan had entered stealth mode, he ran to the place where the knife shadow came from at a very fast speed. She was ready to assassinate the other party. Now, if they could take the opportunity to assassinate the other party, then there would only be 1 person from other colleges left. Fengchu College would definitely get the first place, or the second place. Thinking of this, she was excited. In stealth mode, she took out a dagger with hidden light and quietly approached the sword saint not far away Sha Libai. Tang Xiaosan barely avoided Sha Libai's knife shadow and was very embarrassed. Sha Libai didn't expect that the other party would even roll over, which was a little surprising. Thousands of knife shadows overlap. He shouted softly, and then the long sword in his hand transformed into countless knife shadows, and then swung it violently. Hundreds of knife shadows slashed towards Tang Xiaosan. Tang Xiaosan was very speechless. Facing the dense knife shadows, he had no way to avoid them. At this time, he felt very bitter. A swordsman, Nima used a long-range attack, how could he resist? If the other party approached him, he could still use the mental chain to control the other party. But it was obvious that the other party seemed to be able to avoid approaching him. Unfair, absolutely unfair. When he turned into white light, he had only this thought. Sha Libai saw Tang Xiaosan turned into white light, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly, looking up at the sky. 150 quarters. There are 3 other people. He was very alert. At this moment, suddenly, there was a sharp sound of breaking air beside his ears. Then, he saw a dagger with a faint glow appeared beside him. It was stabbing at his back. His face changed, and he rolled forward without hesitation. Although there was a pool of dirty water in front of him. Crack, his back was still scratched a little, but it was not serious. He stood still and looked at the position just now, but saw a scene that surprised him. The person who attacked was a beautiful girl. The girl had already appeared at this moment, and blood was flowing from the corner of her mouth. And there was a dagger stuck in her back. What happened? The dagger in her hand was bloody, obviously the weapon that stabbed herself. Then what about the dagger on her back? She was an assassin. Was she assassinated? When Sha Libai was puzzled, Tan Huan's figure turned into white light and was carried away. Her last glance was towards the direction of the White Tower, and fell on Li Zunil, who looked surprised. His eyes seemed full of unwillingness. The scene that happened at the moment surprised everyone. In a flash, Li Zunil didn't even have time to cast the wind of recovery on Tan Huan. 2 people were carried out in succession, and they were all from Fengshu Academy. At this time, above the sky, the number changed to 153rds. Li Zunil immediately took the staff and rushed out of the Dragon Ball Tower at a high speed, staring at Sha Libai unhappily. The next second, he waved the staff without hesitation. 2 balls of green light shot out, like lightning, and instantly hit Sha Libai. The other party had no time to react. Li Zunil looked indifferent. Under his nose, 2 students from Fengshu College were eliminated one after another. It was too much. As expected, Sha Libai, who was hit by the green light, turned into white light in an instant and was carried out. 3 dragon balls burst out of his body. 2 of them were the 2 dragon balls that Qin Wangchuan deliberately threw out. At that time, although Sha Libai was very confused, he still picked it up. But he didn't expect that he was carried away before he could warm it up. At this time, outside the copy, it has been completely blown up. Oh my god, an assassin was assassinated by an assassin. This is really rare. Sha Libai was eliminated, and Tenglong College is the 3rd this time. This number 1 poison nurse actually killed Sha Libai in seconds. My god, I never expected it. In the end, it seems that only Qin Wangchuan and Li Zunil are left. It should be said that these 2 people are quite annoying. One of them poisoned and carried away 2 school beauties at the beginning, and the other always likes to take advantage of others' misfortunes. It would be best if they both died together and everyone was happy. On the side, Zhou Shanhai, the dean of Tenglong College, looked disappointed, but seemed to have expected it. He knew very well, although Sha Libai was strong, even Li Chen, who was a saint swordsman, was eliminated. What else is impossible? The saint poison mage was carried away by the number 1 poison nurse, and Sha Libai was also carried away by the number 1 poison nurse. This Li Zunil is really a pervert among perverts. And the elimination zone. Li Chen, Lin Yu and others stared with their eyes wide open, unable to believe. Sha Libai was killed instantly by Li Zunil. Without any fancy things, 2 balls of green light carried Sha Libai away. Plain and unpretentious, but extremely weird. Has Li Zunli's poison evolved? Is it so awesome? In the past, he needed time to deal with it, but now he can kill instantly. However, although surprised, Li Chen and Lin Yu were still very excited when they saw Li Zunil kill Sha Libai instantly. Because he is now the only hope of Fengshu Academy. Whether he can get the first place depends on him. At this time, there are only the perspectives of Qin Wangchuan and Li Zunil on the big screen. There are no other perspectives. Everyone watched the performance of these 2 people quietly. At this time, in the copy, Li Zunil looked up at the sky. 150 halves. There is another person. According to his observation just now, the remaining person must be the Qin Wangchuan. However, he didn't care at all, picked up the 3 dragon balls carelessly, and slowly walked towards the direction of the Dragon Ball Tower. Although this Shadow Saint Thorn, Qin Wangchuan, is not someone who can be easily messed with. But for him, he is not worried. Just because of his talent, immortality. He is always alert to the surroundings, holding the staff tightly in his hand. If there is any movement, he is ready to instantly release the magic skill Poison Milk is poisonous to the surroundings. At that time, hundreds of green lights will always make the opponent fall. Outside the copy, everyone held their breath and looked at the big screen. Who will win the duel between these two masters? Guan Shanyu was extremely nervous. Only the last person is left to decide who is the first and who is the second. He never thought that Fengshu Academy finally relied on Li Zunil, a late guy. Although he had some hope for him, now it has become a critical point. On the side, Mei Xingqian, the dean of the Black and White Academy, was also very nervous, and his hands were tightly grasping the corners of his clothes. Because he saw Li Zunil kill Xia Libai in seconds. That was Xia Libai, the sword saint. The person who was arm wrestling with Li Chen, who knew the saint sword technique. He was killed in seconds by Li Zunil. Then this means that Li Zunil can also kill Qin Wangchuan in seconds. Now the key is who can take the initiative. Whoever takes the initiative will win. At present, Qin Wangchuan is in control of the initiative. He looked at Li Zunli's appearance on the big screen and seemed to have some impression. He thought for a while and asked Guan Shanyu softly. Is this guy one of the last latecomers? Guan Shanyu turned his head to look at Mei Xingqian and nodded gently. Yes. Mei Xingqian suddenly regretted it a little. He had agreed to Fengshu College to let the late student enter. Unexpectedly, he has now become the key factor preventing him from getting the first place. He pinched his thigh. He thought to himself, why did I agree to it at that time? What if the other party really wins the first place? I can't even cry. His face was very ugly, and the more he thought about it, the more regretful he became. In the elimination zone, some people started to bet. Come on, let's bet. The first poison nurse, Li Zunil, or the Shadow Holy Thorn, Qin Wangchuan. Start betting. I bet on the Shadow Holy Thorn. Nursers and assassins, anyone with a little brain should bet on the assassin. Zhao Hao, Tan Huan and Xia Bingshe were immediately interested when they heard that there was a bet. Zhao Hao did not hesitate to bet all his only 60,000 or 70,000 Xia coins on Li Zunil to win. And Tan Huan and Xia Bingshe also bet on Li Zunil without hesitation. Because they still vaguely remembered what Li Zunil said to them in the 100-story magic tower. If you don't bet on me to win, you will lose. And after their understanding of Li Zunil, this person always creates miracles. The three of them were delighted when they saw the ratio of 1 to 10. Zhao Hao bet 68,000. Xia Bingshe bet 80,000. Tan Huan also bet 80,000. Once Li Zunil wins, they will make a profit tenfold. Thinking of this, Zhao Hao's hands trembled a little. Brother, you must win. If you win, I will have the down payment for buying a house. Xia Bingshe and Tan Huan rolled their eyes at him. You think too much. At this time, Mayor Zhu Tianming on the rostrum also began to hold his breath and concentrate. Including representatives of the Adventure Guild, Super God Academy, Super Spirit Academy, Super Extraordinary Academy, Xia Country Law Enforcement Team, etc., all focused and looked forward to the final victory. And in the copy, Li Zunil was holding 3 Dragon Balls and was walking leisurely towards the door of the Dragon Ball Tower. He was guessing that as he walked towards the Dragon Ball Tower, the invisible Qin Wangchuan would definitely find an opportunity to assassinate him. Sure enough, just as Li Zunil was about to walk to the door, something strange happened. A sharp sound of breaking through the air was heard. Then, a dagger with a cold glow fiercely stabbed into his back. Li Zunil grinned. I'm here now. We have to leave something behind. As soon as the words fell, he leaned forward without hesitation and waved the staff in his hand. Dozens of green lights shot out in all directions. While the dagger scratched his back, several green lights also shot there. He saw that the green lights seemed to hit something. Li Zunil said inwardly, it's stable. So, he slowly looked up at the sky. 150 halves. The number did not change. After waiting for a while, the number still did not change. How could this happen? Li Zunil was a little puzzled. Could the opponent resist his magic skill? Poison milk is poisonous. This is unlikely. With great confusion in his heart, he quickly ran into the Dragon Ball Tower and put the remaining 3 Dragon Balls in order. At this time, a vast pressure swept out from the Dragon Ball Tower, covering the entire copy world. All monsters, attributes were fully upgraded, and they rushed towards the Dragon Ball Tower quickly. At the same time, Li Zunil suddenly received a prompt. Note: All the Dragon Balls have been activated. Only when there is only one challenger left in the copy world can the dragon be successfully summoned to deal with the monsters. Otherwise, all challengers will face the endless monsters that are coming. In addition to Li Zunal, Qin Huangquan also received this prompt. Summon the dragon. Deal with the monsters. Otherwise, face endless monsters. Li Zunal carefully thought about this information, and an obvious conclusion surfaced. There can only be one challenger between him and Qin Huangquan. What's a bit tricky now is that Qin Huangquan is in stealth mode nearby, so it's not easy for him to kill him. Run out and cover with firepower. But it's not easy to use with a tower blocking it. However, Li Zunal is not worried. He has an immortal body, and he can't die even if he wants to. It's nothing more than pain. The final victory must belong to him. At this time, boom, boom, Li Zunal seemed to hear a low vibration coming from the ground. It seemed that countless giants were trampling on the ground, producing this sound that made the ground tremble. It seems that endless monsters are coming. Li Zunal stood in the middle of the Dragon Ball Tower, holding a staff in his hand, and every second, hundreds of green lights were instantly emitted in all directions. He once again practiced precise strikes when poor and firepower coverage when rich. He can be sure that there is no Qin Huangquan in this Dragon Ball Tower. If there is, he will definitely be hit by his dense green light. He will definitely lose blood and die. Outside the tower gate, Qin Huangquan looked at the green light that was emitted every second, and his head was big. This thing, he just tried it, and it was impossible to avoid it. He sent a clone to sneak in stealthily, ready to assassinate Li Zunal. But he was hit by 6 or 7 green lights in an instant, and then several more green lights in the next second, and his health dropped rapidly. Then the clone completely dissipated in a few seconds. The current situation is like two rogues hanging on the wall fighting each other. No one can do anything to the other. At this moment, outside the copy, everyone is looking forward to the thrilling confrontation between the two, and guessing. These two are really amazing. One is fiercely poisonous, and the other is fiercely invisible. No one can do anything to the other. I just want to say that if this drags on, the monster army should be coming. By then, the White Tower will be surrounded by dense monsters. Let's see how they deal with it. Quote. Even the audience is very clear about the situation. Li Zunal and Qin Huangquan in the copy naturally understand it very well. Because they can hear the footsteps of the monster army getting closer and closer. At this time, Qin Huangquan is a little anxious. When the monster army arrives, it will inevitably compress his invisible space, and then there will be nowhere to hide. He gritted his teeth and whispered, "Holy clone technique." The next second, 8 figures that look exactly like him appeared on his left and right. He was ready to give it a try. Holy clone technique is his S-level talent. At level 10, he can have 2 clones, at level 20, he can have 4 clones, at level 30, he can have 6 clones, and at level 40, he can have 8 clones. Every time he reaches level 10, he will have 2 more clones, with the same abilities as him, except that the talent itself cannot be stacked. The only drawback is that the damage of the clone is only half of the original body. Outside the copy, the audience exploded again. Wow, 8 clones, exactly like him. So cool, isn't it awesome? Doesn't this mean 9v1? I was shocked. Just when everyone was complaining. In the dungeon, Qin Huangquan decided to take action. He could only give it a try. He had seen the dense monsters around him pushing over quickly. Wave after wave. He didn't think he could avoid this horde of monsters by being invisible. 1 wave might be possible, but what about 10 waves? What about 100 waves? What if the area within a radius of 10 miles is full of dense monsters? He couldn't even walk. This dungeon obviously didn't forget the special situation of the invisibility skill. So, he had to fight with his back to the wall. Li Zunal was still calm. Finally, he felt something was wrong at the tower gate. Because the green light he just shot was absorbed. The green light before would float far away. Li Zunal suddenly became alert. At this time, he suddenly discovered there was a sharp sound of breaking through the air all around him. That's right, all around. He suddenly saw 7 daggers with cold light appear. Yes, 7 daggers. Li Zunal was a little surprised. How could there be 7? Looking forward, backward, left and right, it seemed that there was no way to avoid it. As a last resort, he could only instantly shoot 5 balls of green light forward. Instantly, the dagger in front of him disappeared. And he also rushed forward, and then rushed out of the tower gate at a very fast speed. He was still muttering, "Qin Wangchuan, you are doomed to lose." He turned around and raised his hand, waving his staff, and dozens of green light balls shot out near the previous position. He saw several green lights hit the opponent. Just when he thought he was safe, he heard a sharp sound of breaking through the air again in his right ear. He immediately shot 5 balls of green light and pushed forward. It was found that a ball of green light hit something. At the same time, what annoyed him was that there was another piercing sound of breaking through the air on the left. How fun. Very fun. Li Zunul couldn't help but complain, he couldn't react in time. He had to take the opponent's dagger with a cold glow. While feeling the pain, he waved his staff and shot out 5 balls of green light. 2 of the green lights were absorbed. Obviously the opponent was hit. 2 seconds later, above the sky, the number showed 150/1. And Li Zunul checked his health. 1%. Blood-locked. Sure enough, if it weren't for his extraordinary talent, he might not be able to beat Qin Wangchuan. Qin Wangchuan had obviously just used a skill like the clone technique. For an assassin, the clone technique is one of his most advantageous magical skills. Obviously, Qin Wangchuan has mastered this skill to perfection. Li Zunul recalled that he was still a little frightened. The opponent first used 7 clones to break in and assassinate him. After he escaped, he arranged another clone on his right side, and he personally attacked on the left side. Li Zunul had to admit that Qin Wangchuan had played the clone technique to perfection. Amazing. Li Zunul waved his staff and used the wind of resurgence on himself. His health gradually recovered, and his wounds gradually healed. At this time, outside the dungeon, Qin Wangchuan sat in the elimination zone, puzzled. Why? He was the one who died, not him. He asked himself if he had planned everything out. He had used his skills to the fullest. Why couldn't he win? The doubts on his face could not be dispelled for a long time. And he had clearly stabbed the opponent, but the opponent was not dead. He couldn't figure it out. He was worried that the clone wouldn't do enough damage, so he even went on the field to stab the main body, but the result still surprised him. The opponent must have a powerful trump card. It was completely opposite to his depressed mood. Not far away from him, Zhao Hao, Sha Bingshe, Tan Huan and others were all excited. Because they bet and won 10 times. Everyone was overjoyed. Zhao Hao was so excited that his face turned red. His down payment was settled, and the money seemed to come a little easily. He couldn't help but mutter, "Big brother is still big brother, his legs are too thick, it's so cool to hug." Next to him, Lin Yu's mouth opened, and he patted his thigh happily. This old fool was finally killed. Li Zunul did a good job. Seeing Li Zunul kill Qin Wangchuan, he felt inexplicably happy in his heart. After all, he was in the elimination zone, and he was always unhappy when he saw Qin Wangchuan on the screen, and he always hoped that Qin Wangchuan would be killed. Who would have thought that the other party was so cunning and lived until the last moment? Fortunately, he was finally killed by Li Zunul. He wanted to give Li Zunul a big hug. Even Li Chen breathed a sigh of relief. Because Li Zunul also avenged him. In fact, he was the one who was most dissatisfied. After all, his Saint Sword art was very powerful. It was just that he didn't expect to be attacked secretly. But then again, the name of Shadow Saint Thorn still made them a little afraid. Because the other party has the Saint clone art. Whether it was Li Chen, Lin Yu, or Sha Libai, seeing the assassination attempt by Qin Wangchuan just now, they all nodded secretly. To be honest, the opponent was already very extreme. Even if it was me, I might not be able to stop it. It was even possible that the opponent would complete the assassination while my skills were not in use. Only Li Chen was guessing that he might be able to restrain the opponent by using the Holy Sword technique. However, he thought that he might need to use the sword to protect his body in order to defend against the opponent. On the other side, Guan Shanyu was so excited that his face was shaking, and he was very relieved. Finally, Fengchu Academy won the first place after being the last for several years. It can be regarded as a vindication for Fengchu Academy. It was not easy, but he did not expect that Li Zunul would win the championship. Although Li Zunil, who entered the dungeon last, vowed to him that the champion must be him, Li Zunil, but Guan Shanyu was not so sure at that time. At that time, he could be said to be skeptical. Guan Shanyu was very puzzled. Is Li Zunil really confident, or is he just a blind cat that has caught a dead mouse? Does he have any trump cards that he hasn't told me yet? There was a trace of doubt on his face. Not far from him, Mei Xingqian from the Black and White Academy turned pale. He felt as uncomfortable as if he had eaten a fly. He only had one very strong thought now. Why did he agree to let those late students enter the dungeon? If he didn't agree, Qin Wangchuan would definitely win the first place. He pinched his thigh hard. He thought to himself, I really deserve it. The same expression as him was shared by Zhou Shanhai, the dean of Tenglong Academy. At this time, in the Dragon Ball Tower, 7 Dragon Balls suddenly soared into the air and rotated in an extremely mysterious orbit. Soon, an illusory golden dragon shadow gradually solidified, with a huge body, like a real dragon that was about to come to life. Its body is covered with golden scales, emitting a dazzling light. Its eyes are like 2 bright gems, shining with the light of wisdom. Its tail is long and thick, like a golden whip, swinging with full power. It slapped the ground. A shocking wave of air, as if carrying some kind of law between heaven and earth, swept across the entire dungeon world. All the monsters were trembling after being hit by the air wave, as if suppressed by a natural breath. Then, the army of monsters retreated like a tide and disappeared quickly. In Li Zunli's view, that scene looked like each went back to their own home, each looking for their own mother. At this time, Li Zunil suddenly received a message. Congratulations, you are the challenger who held on to the end. Germany increased by +300, you are about to be sent out of this world. 2 seconds after the message appeared, Li Zunli's figure gradually became illusory, and then turned into a white light and was sent out of the dungeon. After the world turned dizzy, Li Zunil found himself appeared in the victory zone of the arena. Alone, seeing that the eyes of more than 100 people in the elimination zone next to him were all focused on him, he felt a little uncomfortable. In addition to the people in the elimination zone, there were several deans, Market Zug Tianming, representatives of several universities, representatives of the Sha Kingdom Law Enforcement Team, representatives of various adventure unions, and countless spectators. All eyes were on Li Zunil. It can be said that he was the focus of everyone's attention. Some colorful lights shone on Li Zunil, made him look particularly outstanding. Coupled with his handsome appearance, countless beautiful girls screamed. At this time, Mayor Zug Tianming held the microphone and spoke happily. Congratulations to Fengchu College. Congratulations to Li Zunil. We won the first place in this competition. Black and White College and Qin Wangchuan won the second place. Tenglong College and Sha Libai won the third place. He paused. The winner of the competition will receive 3 million Sha coins and a 6-star self-selected equipment and a 6-star self-selected skill book. The winning college will receive a 4-star copy, 10 million Sha coins, and a large amount of aid materials. And the runner-up individuals and colleges will receive decreasing rewards. And the third-place winners and colleges. Please ask the winning individuals and colleges to go to the reward area to receive their rewards. This competition has ended successfully. After hearing this, Li Zunil looked at Guan Shanyu and found that he was waving at him. So he took a step and slowly walked towards Guan Shanyu. As soon as he passed the elimination area, he saw the school bell Lin Xiao and the school bell Ouyang Qing pouting angrily. Jumping out to block his path, Ouyang Qing spoke first. Li Zunil, how do you settle the account of poisoning? Li Zunil looked at the two of them nonchalantly. Don't worry about the details. After that, he pushed the two beauties aside without any hesitation, and then walked towards Guan Shanyu. Ouyang Qing and Lin Xiao had never suffered such grievances. The two immediately stepped forward, grabbing his arms on the left and right. No, this matter can't be let go. Li Zunil raised his eyebrows. I am a poison nurse, it is reasonable for me to poison, right? Ouyang Qing pursed her lips. Reasonable? How many people do you think are unreasonable behind us? Li Zunil raised his eyebrows and immediately spoke. Then what? What do you want to do? He sounded very unhappy, and Dean Guan was still waiting for him. Lin Xiao looked down on him. Of course I want to get my revenge. How do you want to get revenge? Lin Xiao said beside him. The competitive dungeon is upstairs, and many people are not convinced. Li Zunil broke free from the two people's thin hands, full of confidence. Not convinced? Then tell them all to come up, I will accompany you to the end. What? All of them? Lin Xiao and Ouyang Qing seemed to have heard something incredible. They all stared at Li Zunil with their eyes wide open in disbelief. This, Ouyang Qing thought she had heard it wrong and asked to confirm. Lin Xiao also waited for Li Zunli's answer. Yes, if you don't agree, tell them all to come up. I'll accompany you to the end. Li Zunil said casually and walked towards Guan Shanyu calmly. He didn't take the two school beauties seriously at all. This behavior completely confused Ouyang Qing and Lin Xiao. How dare someone be so arrogant? Elimination zone. All the students of the three colleges heard what Li Zunil said. Except for the students of Fengshu College who gave Li Zunil a thumbs up. Everyone else stared at Li Zunil with gritted teeth, as if saying, "What, look down on us?" Ouyang Qing felt somewhat embarrassed, and immediately shouted to Li Zunil. Li Zunil, if you have the guts, don't leave later. See you in the competitive dungeon on the second floor. Lin Xiao was also very depressed, and her pretty face sank. That's right, I must let him know the cruelty of society. Li Zunli's tone was still nonchalant. It depends on my mood when the time comes. After saying that, he quickened his pace and walked quickly towards Guan Shanyu, leaving Lin Xiao and Ouyang Qing messy in the wind. Zhao Hao saw this scene and was envious beside him, with admiration in his eyes. I didn't expect that his elder brother could be so calm in the face of two school beauties. He couldn't help but sigh. He is really a role model for my generation. Soon, Li Zunil followed Guan Shanyu to the reward area and saw that it was the mayor Zhuge Tianming who personally distributed the rewards. Zhuge Tianming was in high spirits, and his eyes moved from Guan Shanyu's face to Li Zunli's face. He stared at Li Zunil carefully for several seconds, then said, "It's really unexpected that the winner is a priest." "Haha, it's just luck," Li Zunil said perfunctorily. "They all say you are poisonous, I think your poison is really strong." Guan Shanyu immediately explained, "Mayor Zhuge, his poison is indeed quite strong, I am also surprised." Zhuge Tianming looked at Guan Shanyu meaningfully. "Old Guan, your Fengshu Academy is full of talents this time. We may need you to worry more about that luck crystal in the future of Wolong City." Li Zunil was a little curious. What is that luck crystal? Guan Shanyu explained on the side, his tone solemn. That luck crystal contains luck. No monsters in the game will descend in the area where that luck crystal is located. This is very important. The 9 districts of our Wolong City can thrive because of that luck crystal. Li Zunil nodded as if he understood. In other words, as long as there is a luck crystal, monsters will not invade. Guan Shanyu explained on the side, his tone solemn. That luck crystal contains luck. No monsters in the game will descend in the area where that luck crystal is located. This is very important. The 9 districts of our Wolong City can thrive because of that luck crystal. Li Zunil nodded as if he understood. In other words, as long as there is a luck crystal, monsters will not invade. Yu nodded, then shook his head. Yes, and no, luck crystal is a consumable item that needs to be constantly obtained. Once the luck in that luck crystal is exhausted, it will lose its function. Zhuge Tianming also nodded in approval. So you, Li Zunil, including Li Chen, Lin Yu, Sha Libai, Qin Wangchuan, etc., if you have the opportunity to enter the Super God Academy in the future, you must strive for more luck crystals to survive for the people of our Wolong City. Li Zunli's eyes turned, and his expression was a little puzzled. Super God Academy has luck crystals. Zhuge Tianming shook his head. No, Super God Academy does not have luck crystals, but there is a way to obtain luck crystals. Method. Yes, the method, of course I don't know the details, only people from Super God Academy know the details. Zhuge Tianming didn't seem to know the details either. Li Zunil nodded, not quite understanding. Is that so? Zhuge Tianming took a deep breath. Of course, because I am the mayor of Wolong City, I give priority to Wolong City, especially the 9th district is in danger. In fact, more than 100 other cities in Sha country also need luck crystal to prolong their lives. He paused and said earnestly, with greater ability comes greater responsibility. I also hope that you young people will work hard to ensure long-term stability in our Xia country. Guan Shanyu and Li Zunil nodded seriously. Zhuge Tianming cheered up and took a suitcase. Okay, this is your reward, 3 million Xia coins in cash. Li Zunli's eyes lit up and he immediately took the suitcase. Zhuge Tianming took out 2 more large boxes, one of which contained several 6-star equipment and the other contained several 6-star skill books. He looked at Li Zunil. You can choose one of each of these 6-star equipment and 6-star skill books. Li Zunil was not very interested in the 6-star equipment. After randomly picking a long sword that looked the most valuable, he looked at the skill book. At this time, it was Guan Shanyu and Zhuge Tianming's turn to be puzzled. Zhuge Tianming stared at Li Zunil curiously, not quite understanding. Why didn't you choose a staff that a priest could use? Instead, you chose a long sword. Because the long sword might be a little more valuable. Li Zunil didn't hide anything. So, you're going to sell it? Yes. After answering, Li Zunil carefully flipped through the skill book beside him. Zhuge Tianming raised his eyebrows, and couldn't help but mutter in his heart. This 6-star equipment is worthless, so sell it. Is he so casual when facing 6-star equipment? What he didn't know was that Li Zunil already had 6 or 7 6-star equipment and 2 7-star equipment in his backpack. Finally, Li Zunli's eyes lit up, and he took a skill book and looked at it carefully. Skill name, Holy Protection. Professional requirements, Priest. Level requirements, Unlimited. Skill effect. Cast this skill on one target to form a shield around the target for 30 minutes. The higher the wisdom, the stronger the shield. The skill CD is 20 seconds. The casting range is 100 meters * 100 meters. Skill level, 6 stars. Shield, it seems good, it can reduce my own injuries. Li Zunil made up his mind. Let's take this skill book. Zhuge Tianming nodded gently. Okay, you can take it. Li Zunil learned the skill book with his backhand. Now he felt more fearless. In addition to running fast, he could also put on a shield. If the level goes up, put on the Phoenix Wing Cloak and then use the flying skill, soaring into the sky. That feeling, just thinking about it makes me feel great. He is already looking forward to that moment. That is to say, he was lucky enough to encounter the secret realm of the 100-layer magic tower. In fact, it is generally difficult to encounter 6 and 7-star monsters. 6 and 7-star equipment and skill books are also difficult to obtain. Generally speaking, 4 and 5-star monsters are already powerful enough. The ceiling monsters that many ordinary adventurers can deal with are at most 5 stars. Li Zunil stuffed the 6-star equipment into the character backpack and looked at Guan Shanyu. Dean, can I leave now? Yes, you can also notify the students to disband on the spot. From now until the unified examination of the school, it is free time to get in touch with society and accept the beating of society. Guan Shanyu reminded Li Zunil. The beating of society. Ah, okay. After Li Zunil finished speaking, he walked back to the crowd with his suitcase. He stood at the back, and in front of him was Zhao Hao. Brother, what equipment did you choose? Sword. A 6-star sword. Yes, a 6-star sword. A deep voice suddenly came from the front. Li Zunil, how about selling the 6-star sword to me? I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.